Welcome, everyone, to the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect. My name is Jared Mello, and I'm the Shepherd of Black Sheep. To my right here is my buddy, Shadow the Night Owl. He is the spirit animal and the mascot of the channel here. Today, we're going to be going over is Mackenzie being a bully. Was Mackenzie a bully and her criminal activity? Well, spoiler alert, she certainly was. So we're going to be going over both of those things. The criminal activity, that also points to some issues as well. And honestly, as I look at all the information about her, she could be diagnosed with several things. So I'm not going to disagree when someone says, well, she's certainly borderline. And I would say, well, she certainly could be, right? Because some of the behaviors do seem like a fear of abandonment. Others seem like more emotional blackmail and control. Could be a combination of both. You know, it is what it is. Bottom line is, it's not good. So Dana and Mavs and Hubby, how are you all? Miss Kim, thanks for joining us. D, Alice, happy Saturday. I just watched some basketball. San Antonio, they beat Oklahoma City. Danielle, how are you? Mackenzie's bullying and criminal activity. So we're going to go over a Moms for Justice video and then a Pop Psych video. And I'm working, folks, on getting more interviews in here because, like I've been saying, I do want to do more of those. And I do want to make sure that I have my own videos too. Because again, I mean, YouTube's hit or miss on whether it even likes me going over other people's stuff. Sometimes they do. Other times, not so much. Yeah, how is your day going, Danielle? Jackie, Shadow when I say hello, Jackie. How are you? Just chilling. Night number 1 at my house. Oh, that's right. No more car. That's awesome. Must be a great relief for you, right? Wow, welcome. Wow says she had a miracle. Had a miracle happen. My son is in detox for methadone, and fentanyl. Praise Jesus. Well, Shadow and I wish him good vibes in recovery because I know how dangerous those things can be and debilitating those can be. I've been through methadone myself, so Shadow and I get it. We get it. So we wish him the best. As long as he has the willingness. That's the hardest part when it comes to addiction, is the willingness to do something different. You can't give someone the willingness, so at least he's there, I will say. That's a step in the right direction. PGH Deb. I'm not sure if I've seen you here before, but welcome. Shadow and I welcome you. Ah, right on, Danielle. You have some good places you watched for, too. Remember, one of those other times, the dog passed away. That was sad. We remember that. Alice, how are you? All right, so we got some Mom for Justice action here. And the other cool thing about this, before I begin, they go over the route the car took. And I'd never seen the route until this. So it's pretty cool to look at. Autumn, how is your day going today? Wow says, my son flew to California because Washington State doesn't have treatment for methadone, although they give it out. That's peculiar. They might try to give him something like Suboxone. Hello there, Alexander and Linda. Welcome. But you have to be off of methadone for a little bit to be even given Suboxone. So, and again, a lot of addiction stuff is figuring out why you were taking it to begin with. Is it anxiety, depression? Is it just being an addict, what the 12-step programs would call the disease of addiction? Is there like a bipolar thing going on, right? People's causes can be different, so that's something to pay attention to as well. But let's jump into this here. This is Moms for Justice channel, by the way. Shadow and I always admire her lighting in the background. I don't know how they got it that good, but I like it. Also, please make sure you like the video because likes are free. Spank the like button. Leave your DNA of choice on the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend or 10 about the flock of black sheep here. And oh, by the way, if you go to the description in this, I have some Black Sheep merch. So Revenge of the Black Sheep, one of the shirts, Another one says Black Sheep Nation. So those are the two options for now. There's different colors and sizes for both. But my Shopify store is in the description. And the YouTube shopping storefront, I don't really like how it presents. I'm still working on that, but you can go directly to the store too.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Moms for Justice. This is Carolyn. Good to see you all here today. I'm going to be sharing some of the most massive amount of information that I have. I received by a FOIA request from Strongsville Police. And it's on the story that everybody's talking about, right? It's all over the place, and it goes far beyond a tragic accident. And you mix in there a little bit of complete disregard for parenting, and you have a disaster that just keeps getting worse, right? This is going to be a deep dive into a documented pattern of escalation, toxic young adults, and absolute recklessness on the part of Mackenzie Shirilla that led to murder. She's being called Shirilla the Killer, and she is one, frankly. Thank you for being here. I think there's a lot of people at CrimeCon isn't it CrimeCon this weekend, guys? I think it is. I am definitely going to go to Vegas for CrimeCon next year. So plan on that. I can't wait. I want to meet y'all in person. That would be really cool. So also want to say one of the victims in this case, the sister, Christine Russo, she has come out and, she's making huge strides in trying to preserve the memory of her brother, Dominic Russo. Give her some love. Her channel is Big Sister Unhinged, and she is on YouTube. And today, and I did interview her. There's a video out there on my channel, and you can watch that if you'd like. I know she's making the rounds right now, and I'm just really super.
So again, in this video, we're going to see some examples of Mackenzie being a bully, a little bit of criminal activity before the crash, by the way, between drugs and some petty theft. We're also going to see a little bit of racism here too, so warning for that too.
Super happy for her that at least, she can do this with her time. It is very therapeutic for her, I believe. And, it's going to give her some reward in the end in such a terrible tragedy, to have something good come out of it. So please support her channel. But today I'm going to be looking at the life and the digital footprint of 17-year-old at the time, Mackenzie Shirilla. And folks, it is not good, okay? The information I have, I'm going to be sharing throughout this episode is a lot of it's very new. Some people are not going to have, haven't heard this before. So I'm going to dig deep on that. I also want to say that we hear a lot about Dominic, and I don't want to leave out Davion Flanagan. His family is really hurting right now. It's an unbelievable loss for them. And Davion was known for this infectious smile, his ability to make everyone feel seen and valued and included no matter what group they came from. And it's just so senseless, this tragedy. And he was in the back seat and, I don't believe was her main target, but he was along for the ride. And unfortunately, both of these lives were lost. But I'm warning you now. This will probably end up being a part one because I don't think there's a way for me to cover everything that I have here, okay, in one live stream. But, there is so much more on this psycho than anyone really realizes, okay? But just to recap, if you're new here, Mackenzie on July 31st, 2022, Mackenzie Shirilla was behind the wheel of her Toyota Camry, and it slams into a brick building at nearly 100 miles per hour without a single brake ever applied, according to the document, the last 5 seconds that they had documented. No skid marks, nothing. Okay. And the crash took the lives of her boyfriend who was in.
And we're going to go over the route. Like I said, she's going to play the route that the car even went on. And it seems pretty ridiculous, as you'll see.
The passenger side next to her, Dominic Russo, and then their friend Davion Flanagan, who was in the back seat behind Dominic Russo. But, how did we get to that horrific morning? Today's episode is going to break down the years, months, and days leading up to that crash and what I was able to find. And there's so much. Investigators combed through, check this out, 91,000 photos. Okay. Thousands of videos and countless texts that, is just not a normal teenager in all this information that we have. They uncovered an adult living a deeply reckless lifestyle. And in the detective's own words, quote, little regard for consequences, appearances, or the feelings of those people around her. We're going to unpack it all. So first, we'll look at the school reports. We'll detail her time at Strongsville High School and I hope I'm saying it right, Polaris Career Center, which was marked by relentless insubordination. All right. She locked herself in bathroom stalls to avoid teachers. Explosive physical altercations. You'll hear how she used her Snapchat not just to socialize, but to run a highly organized drug operation. She was literally trading THC vape cartridges to classmates. And she was doing this in exchange for them taking her final exams so she could graduate high school. Okay. There are text messages I found where she's messaging friends, I need somebody to do my math work for me. And they were doing it. They were doing it in exchange for, drug favors, pretty much. We'll also discuss racial slurs she made, memes that led to an emergency removal from school. Then we're going to examine criminal reports, outside behavior. This is long before the crash. Mackenzie's social media was literally a highlight reel of illegal activity. And we'll break that down. She was a middleman, for drug trafficking, selling marijuana.
So Shadow and I noticed there's some people in the flock of black sheep here not feeling as well today. Hopefully you feel better or get some well-needed rest, maybe, whatever it is. I'm tired today myself for whatever reason. Like some days you just don't, you just never fully wake up. And, I've been up. I even worked out and did things, but just always was feeling a little bit sluggish throughout the day. So that's probably a sign I need to take a rest soon. It's important to listen to your body when it says something to you, because they say if you don't listen when it whispers, you're going to have to hear it scream later.
And mushrooms. We'll look at videos she posted committing breaking and entering at a local church. I'll save that maybe for another time. I don't know if I'm going to play that. I'm not sure I'm going to play that one. But everybody's heard about it, that they broke into a church. She utilized fake IDs to party and transported drugs across state lines. Okay, all under the age of 17. And then we're going to go into her friendships and enemies as well. Okay, we'll explore these toxic relationships. They were volatile, and she shared a lot of this with Dominic Russo. Her relationship with Dominic Russo was filled with threats, physical violence, chilling text messages where she threatened to crash her car with him inside it. We'll also look at her history of relentless bullying. We're going to open pretty much a digital burn book investigators found on her phone, and it is called a burn book. Okay, which contains a hit list of 48 names of her peers labeled with cruel, derogatory slurs. And we're going to look at her TikTok accounts. And like I said, this is going to be a part one because there's so much here. I don't know if I could do it all today. But she publicly berates strangers over their weight, their age.
Fat shaming. So, who is surprised if Mackenzie is fat shaming? Not me. Shadow's not surprised either, but so she's shaming them over their age and weight so far, bullying.
And their income. She famously posts a video declaring that she was tired of being visually assaulted by uglies and fatties.
She's tired of being visually assaulted by uglies and fatties. She sounds like Tom Segura talking about the pores. Anyone know who Tom Segura is? He got a lot of backlash for that. But that's what she sounds like too. So spoiled, bratty, superior, entitled. belittling others. Ugh. This is all the narcissistic side stuff, right? This is not, there's borderlines that don't do this. This is the narcissistic side that does that.
End quote. But before we do all that, before we go all that, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to Moms for Justice. I so appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here. Go ahead and type below. Let me know where you guys are from. Is there anybody here on from Strongsville, Ohio? Please comment below on that. The first thing I'm going to show you is the actual drone video that police took, and it's, you know, during the day, and it's showing the drive to the crash location. I'm going to first play it at normal speed, you know, the typical speed that a car would go. And then I'm going to play it sped up so you can get an idea of just how bad this was. Okay. So let's take a look. There's no sound to it. So let's just watch it together. So where that white van is right there is going to be that right-hand turn that Mackenzie makes just before, when she's making that slow right-hand turn. I think it's Progress. And we don't see her speed up at that point. She's going kind of slow around the corner, but then pretty soon she guns it. Pedal to the metal. Absolutely horrible. But it's drone at first, and then it comes down and it's somebody driving. So you're going to see the road. You're going to see the pavement.
And I'd never seen this before. So Shadow and I thought this was pretty interesting.
The condition of that road, and you're going to see exactly how straight or curvy it is. Okay. All right, here we go. As you can see, they blocked this off here so that they could take this footage.
So this is the route. So imagine you're Mackenzie driving, Dominic in the front seat, Davion in the back seat. And this is the route you're taking. Let's set the scene. It is 5:30 to 40 a.m. in the morning. And let's see what happens.
All right. So at some point, she gets ready and she starts speeding. I don't know when that is, but this is the slow version. This is how, the normal speed you should go on this road. Okay. 35 mile per hour there. I got to tell you, the road is rocky. Look at the cracks in the road. But honestly, it wasn't as curvy as I thought it would be. And, I think to myself, was there an argument, while they were approaching that right-hand turn? Was something going on?
And again, if there was an argument, what didn't happen? If there was an argument, she wasn't blacked out. That's also true, right? You can't have both. You can't be full of pots or blacked out and having an argument. It's one or the other.
Did he say to her finally? Because listen, leading up to this, he was telling a lot of people he did not want to be with her anymore. He did not want to be with her anymore. It was getting to be too much for him. She had threatened him just 2 weeks prior to this crash, in which he had to call his mom, and she had a friend named Hinch get him on the phone, and he said that he overheard her say, I'm going to crash this car with you in it. So, I mean, the chances of that happening 2 weeks beforehand and then it really happens 2 weeks later is completely, it's not a coincidence is my point.
And again, just like I've said with Brian Hooker, he threatened to kill Lynette Hooker at sea. And then at some point later, it appears that very thing happened. Lynette's still missing. Shadow and I think the same thing about Mackenzie in this. She threatened to crash the car with Dom in it. Oh, what do you know? The car has crashed. Coincidence? I don't think so.
But he was also just, he had it with her. He was done. So as you can see here, it's not that curvy. Just a couple points where there's a little bit of a curve. But to me, the biggest thing is the pavement. It changes constantly. There's cracks. I don't see any potholes, but hey, that's a building straight up ahead there.
It's not really a dangerous road per se. Fairly straight, but let's see what ends up happening here.
Yeah. And then I play it super fast for you so you can get a feel
So that blue tarp up there, that's the scene of the accident.
for what it was like. And you could, it was not a popular, like most people would not. I heard the other day that they might have taken this because, Dom and.
So it's like you just blew through that stop sign straight into the wall. Boom.
And Mackenzie frequently would go that way because there was cops late at night on the main road. Okay.
And that makes sense. I mean, if you're worried about getting pulled over with drugs in the car, you would certainly take a road like this. Absolutely.
Okay. So, all right. So that's okay. Here we. Oh, see, that's how fast I sped it up. Okay. Let me leave it here. And then I play it really fast so you can get an idea. Hey guys, thanks for being here. Georgia in the house, Australia. Thank you for being here. All right.
Also, folks, that girl Melly is in the chat right now. She's been doing a lot of stuff on her channel in regards to this case too. I saw her, she went over some of the text messages today between Dom and Mackenzie. So people should check out her channel as well. That girl Melly, it's called.
Pretty crazy, man. But I thought it was important to speed it up so you could see what it was like. Okay, so there's that. I just wanted to start off with that and show you guys the drone footage that's in the police FOIA discovery. Let me come back. Okay, so school behavior. So I have the report from Detective Hazu, and let me move it up here. That way I can show it to you guys. Wait a minute, why isn't it going up? Okay, hold on. Interesting. It's not letting me show it to you. What the heck? That's weird. Okay.
And the interesting thing, Melly, about when you were going over those text messages today, it almost seemed like Mackenzie had a different tone in those text messages than I'm used to her having. Like the other tone, she's more of a bully and more dominant. But in some of those text messages, it was almost like she was needy, which was kind of surprising. Like I'd not seen that side of her before, like her like begging to come along with Dom and when he's going out and doing things. So that was interesting. It was interesting to see that side of her. Because you don't see that side in her other interactions. You don't hear that when she's being a bully or using emotional blackmail, etc. So interesting.
Sorry, guys. Hold on. I apologize. Okay, there we go. All right. So it's the Strongsville Police Department report. It's really, really long. And if I have to show you something in particular or open it up, but I did take notes on it so that I could just go on ahead and refer to it if I have to. And I have a couple other things to show you as well. All right. So let's get down to it. Okay. I'll try to move through now. So school behavior disciplinary issues as per the report. So I have here 2018 middle school fight. This is on February 9th, 2018. The police responded to a disturbance at Center Middle School. Mackenzie and another 8th grade girl got into an argument during lunch that escalated as they walked to the school bus. Hold on. Hold on one second. Is that the Dorito one? All right. Police responded at Center Middle School. 8th grade girl got into an argument during lunch, escalated as they walked to the school bus. The girls exchanged words, shoved each other, and threw a bunch of punches. Let me open this up here. And it says here, I spoke to the girls and their guardians at their homes. They were advised that the school.
Well, that's what a lot of people that have a borderline personality disorder, it's the push-pull, fear of abandonment, fear of smothering, right? And again, I was trying to decipher, is it fear of abandonment or the need for control that was driving her behavior? Some of those text messages, it did sound a lot more like just a fear of abandonment to me. So again, Melly, she's been going over this case for a while, so she knows more about it than me. But I'm still taking in all the information. And as I do, I reserve the right to change my mind on some of these things. She certainly seems psychopathic as well. Don't get me wrong. Like there's some of that going on too. But as I learn more, I update my thinking.
Would handle the discipline for this, and that it would be best if they did not have communication with each other. And then it shows a police report was filled out.
So that's called, Alexander, is an anxious avoidant or fearful avoidant attachment style. That's what they would say a lot of borderlines have. Now, they used to say narcissistic people have a dismissive avoidant attachment. But Dr. Salerno would say, no, they don't attach at all. So that's kind of a new thing. That's what he says. Not everyone agrees, by the way, but that's what he says about it. But borderlines, anxious avoidant, but it's an insecure attachment style.
Okay. And we have that she was almost expelled from Polaris Career Center. Mackenzie attended Polaris, a vocational school, which she claimed made her severely depressed by the time she would come home. And a friend named Jordan Piskash expressed surprise that she had not dropped out already. And during a later argument, Jordan taunted Mackenzie, stating, "At least I didn't almost get expelled from effing Polaris, you dumb B." Okay, now, online school. Mackenzie frequently expressed hatred for Strongsville High School, stating that the school hates me so much and complaining that, quote, they do me so dirty. By early 2022, she had switched to an online curriculum. She noted her principal allowed her to take her final exams at home because, quote, he just wants me to get out about F in this school, and he knows how much I hate it, end quote. Then in May 2022, a school official emailed Mackenzie's mother, Natalie, to inform her that Mackenzie had outstanding assignments left to complete, but would still pass her English class, which is a D grade. When her mother asked if she wanted to fix the grade, Mackenzie replied, "Dude, I don't care about a D."
Don't worry, Brian, you're not blocked. I will say YouTube seems to be acting up because every third comment of mine even is getting flagged and I can't even write. I tried to say hello, Bethany, flagged. I tried to say you got it, Alexander, flagged. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
And then Natalie responded, "That's what I thought. A D is passing, so it's all good." That's Natalie, the mother. Okay. So we have some incidents of Mackenzie bullying and abusing others. So she has extensive text message threads that reveal that she is being highly toxic and verbally abusive towards her boyfriend Dominic. She routinely she degrades him, calling him an effing idiot and a little boy, and told him that he would never find anyone better than some cracked out B. And you guys, listen, I don't curse. So that's if you like a cursing channel, I'm not your channel for you. But I will do my best to convey it. She used frequent breakup threats to manipulate him, to which Dominic pleaded and says here, quote, "This isn't healthy." And he begged her to stop being toxic with him. Then On October 19, 2018, police investigate a menacing complaint at Strongsville High School. Mackenzie calls a former friend the B word and threatened to beat her up over a Dorito chip. She wanted to have one of the Doritos that this friend has. And the friend was smart and said, no, get your own.
So it sounds like Mackenzie has a little bit of conduct disorder action going on. Conduct disorder is what they give people before 18. You could say it's the precursor to antisocial personality disorder. They give people that once they turn 18. It's the only personality disorder you can't be diagnosed with until you're 18. The rest of them can be, contrary to popular belief. But what is it? Oppositional defiance disorder or conduct disorder. Those are the precursors to antisocial. And she seems to have a little bit of that going on.
Mackenzie then posted a photo on Instagram mocking the victim's big forehead. Later that day, Mackenzie's friends surrounded the victim at her locker. And let me read more into this one. I want to read it word for word. Hold on. I spoke to, and it blocks out some of the friends' names. So I spoke to blank, who stated that while she was in third period class on this date, Mackenzie Shirilla called her a B and threatened to beat her up and stated that this was all over her not giving Shirilla a Dorito chip.
Shadow says, that sounds a little extreme. Or as Ron Burgundy would say in Anchorman, well, that got out of hand fast. That escalated quickly.
Also stated that Mackenzie posted on Instagram last year a picture of her showing her forehead, and the caption stated that she had a big forehead, stating that Mackenzie tried to post the picture again today when she didn't give her the chip. This was brought to her attention, and she stated by her friend, and they don't give the name, stated she was friends with Mackenzie last year, but ended the friendship because Mackenzie kept getting into trouble at school, and stated she did report that she reported this to her guidance counselor. And at the end of school, at approximately 2:30, the girl states that she was surrounded at her locker by all of Mackenzie's friends. Gee, I wonder who they are. Well, I have a guess. Rosie, maybe, probably, definitely. There's a friend named Natalie. No, not her mother. There's another friend named Natalie. Then there's a girl named Hope, and there's a girl named Tess. I don't know which ones were there, but I'm assuming that's who they are. All the friends were standing there and threatening to beat her up while Mackenzie stood in the background just with a smirk on her face. They were taunting her to fight while Mackenzie stood behind them, and she stated she was pushed into the locker by the girls. Yeah, this girl's like evil, right? Let's see. Then she states that the school called Mrs. Shirella about the incident and stated she told Mrs. Shirella that she just wanted to go home and get on the bus. And Mrs. Mohammed, is the last name, is the other parent, was very upset about the situation and stated she's going to contact the school first thing Monday morning. I then went to Mackenzie Shirilla's residence. This is the cop talking. And spoke with Mackenzie and her mother. Mackenzie stated that while in third period, she was threatened to beat her up after she asked for a chip and that she did not call her the B word. Of course, she's a liar. And Mackenzie's...
Yeah, she's just ridiculous. Like this behavior, fighting over a chip and calling her a bitch for not giving her a chip. Just ridiculous. Childish behavior.
Stated that she did tell her friends that she was being threatened by this girl and stated her friends told her that they would have her back. And Mackenzie then stated that her friends did surround the girl at her locker after school as she stood by and looked to see what was going on. And Mackenzie stated she did not tell her friends to do this. Something's telling me that that's a lie. She then stated that it was then that her friends pushed her into a locker and then pushed past her. Mackenzie then stated that she threw a soda on her, but did not report this to me back at the school. As for the posting on Instagram, Mackenzie stated it was one of her friends that grabbed her phone, took the picture, and made the posting, not her. So, again, putting the blame on somebody else, right? Putting the blame on somebody else. Okay, so that was a little more detail about that. Now we have the burn book. So a police
Miss Amanda, that's a great point that Shadow pointed out to me. Shadow said, Miss Amanda said, but remember, Natalie's Mackenzie's mom, that Mackenzie really didn't need to be disciplined. It's like, what reality are you living in, Natalie, to not know this? This is the reality, wanting to beat someone up over a Doritos chip. All this criminal activity stuff that we're going to hear about soon, too. So clearly, she's living in delusion or some sort of denial or manipulation. Whatever it is, it's not good. And I'm also trying to put together the pieces of the puzzle. Who is running the show between the dad and Natalie, Steve and Natalie? I'm kind of thinking Natalie is. I think Steve's got too much of that 40-something-year-old boy energy going on. And again, not that Natalie is some beacon of maturity or anything, but she might be running the show, I think.
extraction of Mackenzie's Apple iCloud reveals digital revenge lists containing dozens of names of her own peers. One note titled Me and Leah's List B. It contained 9 names.
And that's exactly right there, Melly. I think parents do their kids a disservice when they don't decide to be a parent and enforce consequences. Now, granted, it's difficult to enforce consequences, especially when you have a child like Mackenzie, because as I've gone over before, I think she did have her own startup material of traits that are a little wild. And when a kid has those traits, it becomes difficult to parent them. And a lot of times, if they give these big reactions and they put up a fuss whenever they don't get their way, a lot of parents just eventually give in, or they just let the kid get their way. And I kind of think that's what we saw. So I think the parents certainly enabled her to get worse. But it's a disservice. You're not helping her. Look at this, because look at where she is now, right? Look where she is, and 2 people are dead. So you definitely didn't help anyone by being too permissive and letting her run the show.
Names, while a larger one titled The Burn Book contained 48 names. Let's go into that. Body shaming her peers. During text arguments, Mackenzie cruelly insulted another girl named Alexis, calling her a disgusting fat bee. And
that's the more mean girl behavior, right? Bullying and belittling other girls.
Also, in quotes, ginormous, because she believed Alexis was trying to ruin her relationship. I also have, and it's an unknown person, their name is redacted, that this other girl at school was talking to Dom. So she started like harassing her and bullying her at school. And the girl's like, I don't want Dom. I don't want anything to do with your man. So
again, so what is that? A little jealousy action going on there? Afraid to lose control? So in order to regain or to squash the threat, that's what she was doing. Ridiculous. Now, granted, when people are teenagers, people will be immature. But even in regards to teenagers, there's still a baseline. Okay, like there's a baseline immaturity. And then there's extra. Mackenzie's still extra, considering the baseline of a teenager, right? And that's what any juvenile judge is going to be looking at too. Okay, what's baseline immaturity and things that teenagers are going to do while they make mistakes versus what's a conduct disorder versus what is more of a personality disorder. 2 different things, right?
But she was like, yeah, you do. You're trying to hit on my man. You're trying to hit on my boyfriend, whatever. So these girls at the school, all the girls that went to school with her was, basing their mood that day based on how Mackenzie was acting at school. They'd see her come down the hallway and they were like, is Mackenzie in a good mood? And if she was in a good mood, then they knew that they would not be messed with that day. I mean, this is this kind of stuff that's in this report. Then she mocked a peer online as a school thought, THOT, and a freak, noting in private messages that she only held back from public body shaming just in case she ever becomes famous. Her words. 10th grade suicide.
I mean, Alexander, it doesn't really matter what disorder she has. They're all bad. I think she's got psychopathic traits, narcissistic traits. She has some elements of borderline in there too. So she could be comorbid with several things, but like I would have to really examine the entire picture to see. But if she's just borderline, she certainly has one that is heavy in the narcissistic traits and psychopathic traits. But again, I'm not a clinician, so I'm not going to say, yes, this is officially what she is. No, this is just my opinion.
Threats. Police interview notes with Angelo Russo. They indicate that during a breakup talk in 10th grade, Mackenzie used emotional manipulation, allegedly telling Dominic, quote, if you break up with me, I'm going to kill myself. Okay, these are hard. And this is.
So if you break up with me, I'm going to kill myself. What is that? That's emotional blackmail, right? You better do this or I'm going to do this. Emotional blackmail. The core of emotional blackmail is fog, fear, obligation, guilt. So, narcissistic people do that. Borderlines do that. Which one is she? Could be a combination of both. I certainly could see a comorbidity there. Absolutely. What was the other question? Oh, Deb asked, do I think there's enough to convict her? I'm surprised. I'm surprised that one, they didn't ask for a jury trial. And I'm surprised her lawyer didn't really seem to do a good job. I think there probably could have been reasonable doubt to maybe not have it be what she got. That being said, I do think she's probably guilty, and I don't think her personality helps her cause in any way. The issue is her personality isn't necessarily supposed to make a difference in whether she's guilty or innocent, right? Now, the prosecutors would disagree. They would say, well, that's just part of the evidence, which, true. But Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer, would say, no, pointing to character is not allowed. So, but he's a defense lawyer, right? So there's a prosecution's mindset versus the defense lawyer's mindset. Who's going to win? So that being said, I don't think it's a coincidence that she had threatened to crash the car with Dom in it, and then not that long after it happens. So I think she was probably guilty, but that's the thing. Me just saying probably guilty, there could have been room in there for some reasonable doubt, perhaps, from a good defense lawyer. But there wasn't. I think they made a lot of bad choices. I think her defense team made a lot of bad choices. And don't mistake this for me defending Mackenzie. This is not me defending Mackenzie. This is just Shadow and I putting our defense lawyers' hats on. Because it's good. It's good to be able to get into the habit of putting your prosecutor hat on and then put your defense lawyer hat on and really understand the perspectives from each side. So many people can't do that. They just see it one way. They'll never put themselves in the other side's shoes. But if you're going to be a good debater or lawyer, you got to know what the other side is going to say. You got to know their arguments. So Shadow and I have gotten into the habit of trying to understand all of the sides' arguments because we adamantly believe if you don't understand their arguments, you're not going to be able to defeat them.
It's a trigger warning because it involves racial slurs. I'm not going to say the words, but you guys will know what I mean. But it's absolutely disgusting. According to school disciplinary records here, Mackenzie allegedly told another student that if I was a slave owner, I would have killed blank.
Huh.
And they redacted the name. This was confirmed by 3 witnesses despite her denial. Because we know now that she denies everything. Then Mackenzie was removed urgently from school after she airdropped a meme featuring the N-word, and she gave school officials conflicting stories to cover it up. She routinely used the N-word during aggressive text messages, arguments with Dominic, and
again, there's a lot of silly girls, white girls that do that in high school. They'll say the N-word, not even realizing how inappropriate it is. I'm not sure the context that she was using it in, but let's see.
Phrases like, and you have 2 seconds, like you have 2 seconds to get out here, you have 2 seconds to call me back, that kind of a thing. And N, I do not want to be here. And I know she did like a SpongeBob. Let's look at the SpongeBob thing.
And let's also be real here, though, too. In terms of that word, there's the and the hard R. Which one is she using? I don't know.
Yeah, she sent a meme to somebody with SpongeBob and calling them the N-word in underneath the SpongeBob figure. She was asked by a peer for, quote, a video of the girl saying the N-word and supplied the Instagram link spreading awareness about a 12-year-old Black student who was harassed and called racist slurs at Strongsville Middle School. She also got into an online argument with a peer named Olivia, who accused Mackenzie of cultural appropriation over her ponytail braids. Mackenzie dismissed it and questioned why the girl was trying to cancel her for being racist. And then in one of her comment sections, Mackenzie, it was Mackenzie or a follower complained, quote, if a white girl said this about POC, she would be canceled. Interesting. And that's because she had like smaller braids. So that in that scenario, the racial remarks were made at her. So then Daniel Trush road rage incident. This is on April 4th, 2022. A man named Daniel Trush aggressively followed Mackenzie's car in his SUV. He blocked her into a driveway on White Bark and repeatedly exited his vehicle to approach her driver's side window. The video evidence showed him staring and smirking at her.
But the other ridiculous thing, Melly, is how the heck was her defense team late? They missed the deadline on that appeal? Like, what the hell is that? Like, that's out of control.
With his arms crossed. Trush was charged with disorderly conduct. Now, here's the thing about that. I've got that video here queued up because in actuality, I believe she's lying about this. Let me pull it up. So she's in her car, right? And I pull it up. I'll just play a few of the clips. Okay, there's that one. Is it too loud for you guys? I could turn it down if you need me to turn it down. Yeah, let me turn it down a little. Okay. So there's that one. And then there is, and then we'll make a determination at the end. She did something because no guy's just going to pull over like this.
Ew. Be muted for copyright purposes.
Drives me nuts. Oh, you know what? I should probably turn the volume off because, yeah.
I beat you to it there, Carolyn.
Is that a popular song? Well, anyway, you get the idea. It turns out they went to his house and they ask him, they're like, hey, they got his license plate from her. He goes to the house and he goes, no, I was like driving and she almost hit me and then flipped the bird at me and was cursing out the window and all that. So he started following her around to confront her. And that's what it is. But it turned out that he got a charge for it because they believed her. I just thought that was really sad because now that what we know about her now is she's a complete liar and she starts trouble. So then Mackenzie texts her mother that a man named Husni, Husni, followed her car to a gas station after assaulting her friend at a crumble cookie and slamming the door on her friend. She stated Husni recorded her while yelling.
So chat, let me know. I could probably try to talk to Melly one of these days about this case and other cases. I think we could have an interesting discussion because one of the things I'm trying to do more of is talk to people, interview them, whether it's Melly or the person from Pop Psych or Matt Murphy or whomever, Dr. Z, others, and have the channel do more of that as well. And me and more solo vids from me too, because I like giving my own thoughts too, as opposed to only commenting or reacting. Now, granted, I don't only react, of course, but those are the things. Let me know if you'd like us to do that.
About 2 counts of manslaughter. Yeah. So, text message says here, what happened? Are you still there? And Kenzie writes back in the text message, he followed us to the gas station. My dad came. Okay, Steve. And then the person writes back, where is the cookie place at? And she writes back, it's called Crumble Cookies. And then he followed us all the way to the gas station and assaulted my friend. Well, where is that at? Her friend says, how did he assault her? And she writes back, when she got in the car, he slammed the car door on her and was recording me saying 2 counts of manslaughter. Okay, so yeah, there's a text message here to support that. She was targeted by Morgan Verbicki and Jana. Morgan Verbicki bullied Mackenzie both before and after the crash. The Netflix crash, the crash that unfortunately took Dom and Davion's life. So it says here that Morgan Verbicki was messaging her to say that she killed Dom and Davion on purpose. And another girl named Jana also participated in the quote unquote harassment. And Mackenzie's mother contacted the police detective specifically to report Morgan. Then we have a fake impersonation website and Trashy Whore 321 faced cyberbullying from an anonymous account, Trashy Whore 321, calling her a whore, and a fake website was created to mock her and make her look gross. And I guess Mackenzie was all up because we all know Mackenzie cares about what she looks like. Mackenzie cares about, how she appears to others. And, somebody made a page, put her pictures on there, probably altered them and made her look really bad. And Mackenzie kind of freaked out. And then also, she has gotten a lot of online backlash after the crash, including people calling her a murderer, which she is one. They were spreading rumors about her limbs being amputated and accusing her of causing the crash on purpose, which is no surprise to me. Okay, now teachers mocking Mr. Hassan. She mocked the Polaris teacher's appearance, laughing that she looked wrinkly and very stressed, in addition to leaving fake workplace reviews against her. Tension arose after a peer named Kendall fell down the stairs and was seriously hurt at a party. Natalie Sharilla, Mackenzie's mother, referred to Kendall's mom as, quote, a mess, and reassured Mackenzie that she was Kendall's guardian angel. Apparently, when she fell down the stairs, it was Mackenzie that picked her up and carried her upstairs. And I think there was something about that on Bubba's interview where he remarks about this girl falling down the stairs, and because he's freaked out.
I think Danielle makes a great point remember when we were going over the messages that Mackenzie was sending to Dom's mother, and Mackenzie was accusing Dominic of all these things? I think a lot of that was really confessions. They were confessions of what Mackenzie was doing herself to Dom, confessions about herself. I think that's pretty accurate. Because remember, she had said, oh, Dom just tried to kill me. He tried to grab the wheel on the car. It's like, are you sure that's just not what you were thinking about doing? I don't know. But what do you think? But that was a good call there by Danielle.
By blood, he wouldn't take part in carrying her upstairs. So, but I thought in that interview, he mentioned that Davion was the one who carried her upstairs. So I'm a little confused, but apparently Natalie Sharilla wanted to give the credit to Mackenzie, saying, you're her guardian angel. You helped her get upstairs. So then we have, during the 2018 middle school fight, Ray Martinez showed up at the Sharilla residence wanting to retrieve his granddaughter, having received bad information that there was a fight happening there. And Steve Sharilla.
Shadow's curious how many likes are on the video here. He said, make sure you like the video because likes are free. Spank the like button. Throw Shadow a like vest the same way Brian Hooker should have to Lynette Hooker, but did not. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend or 5 about the flock of black sheep. By the way, there's some black sheep merch now in the Shopify store. There's one that says this, Revenge of the Black Sheep. There's another one that says Black Sheep Nation. So those are a couple for now. I can do the designs bigger if people would prefer that, or I like them small myself. That's why I have this as a small one. But as always, super chats, super stickers, and becoming a channel member or gifting channel memberships, great ways to support the channel. They help me pay for Shadow the Night Owl soy-free hootie snacks. Shadow is very hormone conscious, by the way. He's very mindful of his testosterone. I don't need him watching Clavicular anymore either, so we got to keep Shadow on the straight and narrow. He's not drinking too much anymore either, which is also good for him. Because Shadow says he can party like a rock star. He just can't recover like one anymore. And I would agree with that myself. Which is why neither one of us do, for that matter, anymore. And thank you very much for all the support that we've been getting so far. This is Moms for Justice here that we're watching. I like her.
Was extremely upset and had police officially ban the grandfather from the property. Let's see what we got on that. I'm pulling that one up. Okay, I spoke to both parties at their residence, and neither had visited.
And you see, Melly, Brian Hooker did the threat of doing what he did just like Mackenzie did. So Mackenzie threatened to crash the car with Dom in it, and then later on it happens. And then Brian Hooker before, according to his stepdaughter, Lynette Hooker's daughter, Carly, she had said Brian had threatened to do the same exact thing. Oh, I'll kill you at sea. I'll throw you overboard at sea. Not to mention Brian Hooker would strangle her. And as I've always said, anytime if you're a woman and your partner has strangled you, the chances that they actually murder you increase 700 to 900%. So strangulation is not to be trifled with. It is to be taken seriously. But also keep in mind, leaving can be a dangerous time, as Lynette Hooker might have found out, as even Dominic might have found out there too, as well as Davion. But I do wonder if Lynette Hooker probably said by the pool, you know what, I'm leaving. I got my plane ticket. I'm leaving. And Brian Hooker might have said to himself, no, if I can't have you, nobody can. He pulled the Michael McKee on Spencer and Monique Tepe routine, which is, if I can't have you, no one can have you.
Visible injuries, and both were advised to stay away from each other and not to post anything on social media about each other. Mackenzie's father, Steve, was concerned because older sister, who is 1 year older than Mackenzie, had come to his house wanting to fight Mackenzie after the initial incident. Steve was also extremely upset that the girl's grandfather, Ray Martinez, came to the house. I asked Ray why he came to the house, and he said that he thought the house was actively fighting. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. This is not me not knowing how to read. It's just sometimes
we can ask ChatGPT to mock us up a conversation between Brian Hooker and Mackenzie Sharilas in jail. Could you imagine that? A mock-up followed by a David Attenborough narration of Mackenzie meeting Brian Hooker. They'd probably get along swimmingly. Excuse the pun.
Report has some typos in it. So he thought by coming to the house, it was because there was an active fight going on with Mackenzie. So he went there to retrieve his granddaughter. Steve asked that all parties be advised to stay off his property, and I relayed this information to Ray, and the parties were advised that this will be forwarded to the school for discipline because it's a school relationship, it had to be reported. Okay. Mahia Mohammed, mother of the locker victim, the one that was pushed into the locker, she officially contacted police stating she was fearful for her daughter's safety due to Mackenzie's behavior. Let's open that up and see what that says. Do we have anything more on that? Friday?
And again, that's the big part of Mackenzie that does seem borderline. That again, I'm learning more about it as I go. But the fact that she didn't want to live, and let's face it, right? Her going into this wall, it's hard for me to imagine like it wasn't kind of a suicide attempt at the same time, right? Like, do you really think you're going to survive that just because you have your seatbelt on? I mean, at best, you can say she didn't care whether she lived or died. I think that's at best. But that part, willing to do that to yourself as well, often is more of a borderline thing to do. A lot of narcissistic people, they're more pleased with themselves, and so they're not going to do that a lot of times. Now, it's not impossible. There are probably some vulnerable narcissist types. They'd be more likely to. But that part of it is a more borderline part to me. I don't think many psychopaths would do that either for the most part. But you never know. They maybe would rather go down in a blaze of glory, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
10/19/2018 responded to, and I'm not going to say the address, for a report of school bullying and menacing. The complainant is Mahia Mohammed, stating that her daughter was physically threatened while at Strongsville High School by several students, and she stated that she is fearful for the safety of her daughter. And Mrs. Mohammed stated that this incident was told to her by her daughter after school and that she wishes a report to be made. So there was a report filed against Mackenzie, and hopefully they did to the other girls as well. Okay, and then here's the detail. Third period class, Mackenzie Shirilla called her a B and threatened to beat her up. Oh, this is the full breakdown of the Dorito chip, stating that this was all over her not giving Mackenzie a Dorito, and stated that Mackenzie posted on Instagram last year the picture of her showing her forehead. I kind of already went through that. Let me see if there's anything else about it. Oh, here we go. Natalie Shirilla, her mother, approached her and apologized for what was going on. And it was apparent, she stated, that the school called Mrs. Shirilla about the incident. She stated that she told Mrs. Shirilla that she just wanted to go home and get on the bus. Okay, I did say that part already. Sorry about that. It's confusing. There's so much here, so bear with me. I apologize. Okay, Dominic's father actively distanced himself from Mackenzie because he viewed her as selfish and very jealous. And he intervened when Mackenzie was out of control and hitting Dominic. Okay, let's pull this up. That is in Angelo Russo's statement. Okay, so there's that. And we've seen that. That's the yellow notebook pad. Okay, criminal history. She was shoplifting at Kohl's on May 14th, 2019. She stole earrings from Kohl's. The store could not prosecute because the value was under $20. You know, I think personally that children should learn a lesson when they steal at that age, and you should bring them to the police and file a report in the whole 9 yards, at least a fake one, so that you can, teach them that it's wrong. The fact they let her go is unbelievable. Do they do this in all states, or is that just Ohio? Hey, guys, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you for being here with me. I'm reading through all the FOIA. I'm not even going to, I have this up on the board, and what's the point? I'm just reading from what's in front of me here. So, all right. So she made a suicide threat on March 23rd, 2020. Strongville police and fire were dispatched after she was 15 years old. Let's go to that. See if there's any details in there about that. Page 24. Nope, don't have that. Unless I go here. Let me try. Okay. Okay. So let me say this to you first. This is really interesting. Andy Trujillo, the director of student services at Strongsville City Schools, complied with, and on this I can show you, complied with the subpoena request for Mackenzie school records. 5 PDF documents containing redacted information were attached to the email, and I forwarded the email to APA Troop and asked him if he wanted a redacted version. He said to wait. The school records are digitally attached. Okay, so let me go here. There's one part I have to redact, so I moved it up. Dr. Jess Levy, a psychiatrist, diagnosed Mackenzie with anxiety disorder, and Mackenzie was prescribed Zoloft. From August 2018 to 2021, Mackenzie had several behavioral...
Look at this. This is interesting. So they gave her an anxiety disorder? Pah. So this just goes to show you that they don't always know what they're talking about. Like, they weren't able to get to the truth. Like, if they were to see her behavior and how she speaks to people, you would realize not just an anxiety disorder. Disruptive mood regulation disorder, is that's a fancy way maybe to say disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. I've never even heard of that. Is that like a weird way to say borderline? I don't know. I'll have to look that one up to see what they say about it.
Referrals at Strongsville High School. Most of these offenses fell under one of the categories: skipping class, truancy, defiance, disobedience, noncompliance, and disrespect, insolence, and rudeness. In January 2020, Miss Carrie Jankar, the school therapist, noted that Mackenzie was participating in therapy to manage symptoms of the following diagnosis: general anxiety disorder, disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. And then Mrs. Jankar noted that due to the aforementioned mental health conditions, Mackenzie experiences the following symptoms: heart racing, racing thoughts, inability to focus, easily distracted.
This is what they say disruptive mood dysregulation disorder is. DMDD is a childhood mental health condition characterized by severe recurrent temper outbursts. All right, well, this sounds more accurate then. Verbal or behavioral that are out of proportion to the situation. Persistent irritability or angry mood between outbursts. Symptoms occurring frequently, typically 3 or more times per week. Symptoms lasting at least 12 months. Onset before age 10. Usually diagnosed between ages 6 and 18. Literally, this is the first I've ever heard of this. Have any of you heard of disruptive mood dysregulation disorder? I had never heard of it. But I mean, I agree with some of these symptoms here. But also to note is the lack of empathy and the antagonistic traits and the entitlement and emotional blackmail stuff. Those are the things that are really the issue. Children with DMDD may have intense meltdowns over relatively minor frustrations. Well, what does that sound like? That could be many things, right? Borderline, autism, seems irritable, on edge most of the day, struggles at home, school, and with peers, be misdiagnosed as having bipolar disorder, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, anxiety, or depression because symptoms can overlap. So they say this is different than oppositional defiant disorder. And I would say, well, did you look at her criminality? Causes. The exact cause is not fully understood, but likely involves genetic vulnerability, differences in emotional regulation, environmental stressors or trauma, co-occurring conditions such as ADHD or anxiety. Diagnosis. Diagnosis is made by a qualified mental health professional using clinical evaluation and DSM-5 criteria. DMDD is distinct from ordinary childhood tantrums because the symptoms are more severe, more persistent, developmentally inappropriate, present across multiple settings. So I did mention that earlier, didn't I? About the developmentally inappropriate. Treatment includes psychotherapy, especially cognitive behavioral therapy and parent training, parent training, school-based supports, treatment for co-occurring conditions, sometimes medication such as stimulants, antidepressants, or mood-related medications, depending on symptoms. Children with DMDD are more likely later to develop depression or anxiety disorders. If you want, I can also explain the differences between DMDD and bipolar. This is a new one to me. I don't know if they created this one because they thought something like borderline has too much stigma, maybe.
Easily frustrated, shows low tolerance to irritation, has difficulty making decisions, has verbal or physically aggressive outbursts, tearfulness, withdrawn behaviors, freezes up when called on in class, and avoidance behaviors. It's interesting because doesn't strike me as a shy type to freeze up while in class at all. So I was surprised to hear this. Okay, Section 504, manifestation determination review. Mackenzie was suspended from school for 10 days and recommended for expulsion from Polaris Career Center when she was taking classes there. On May 5th, 2021, Mackenzie was involved in an altercation with another student in the parking lot of Polaris Career Center. In December 2019, these are all out of order, so I'm sorry. So you can see why it's hard to read all this stuff. Mackenzie was suspended from school after threatening a student with whom she was not supposed to communicate with, and her behavior, according to school officials, was not manifested by her disability. So notice that they're actually labeling her as having a disability. And if you don't truly have a disability, or you do have a disability, but instead you're using that as an excuse to behave badly, that is like, it's cruel. It's evil. It's wrong. You know what I mean? And then it goes and it makes you question if she even has any of these disabilities at all. And she's just using it as
It's a weird thing to call that a disability. Now that's the thing. Now people will try to twist these things. People will try to say, well, personality disorder is a disability. But then when you call something a disability, then it's almost like they want special treatment or a get out of jail free card because it's a disability, right? So it's a slippery slope. Someone was asking today, does anyone's sentences, do they get reduced when someone has a personality disorder? And the answer to that question is no. The only time that's true is if the judge deems someone unfit to stand trial because they are insane. So there's sometimes versions of schizophrenia that qualify as that. But for other things, the defense lawyers might try to use them to play on like a pity card maybe, but they don't generally work. I look at that guy, Tanner Horton. His defense lawyer tried to say, oh, autism, addiction, being abused. Yeah, didn't matter. He still got the death penalty. So again, personality disorders, they're not going to impact someone's culpability. The only time it does, if it's a schizophrenic type thing and the judge decides you are not fit to stand trial.
An excuse to just be an evil person. So page 1 of 7, after an incident with an unidentified teacher in the additional info section, the following was written by the teacher. Many of the students and a couple of the teachers commented on her behavior and the need for administration to take action. I've been asking for help with her all year. I would like her removed from my room, as I am no longer comfortable with being verbally attacked in front of students and being videotaped while it is happening. So I am imagining this here. This self-entitled brat is sitting in class and holding up her iPhone, which should have been taken away from her a long time ago, and filming the teacher in the middle of altercations. Just absolutely disgusting. She's the type of girl that when she's home and she doesn't like something her parents say, she's the type of girl that would be like, I'm going to call child services on you if you don't let me go to that party. She's just...
And that's what? Very manipulative, blackmail.
Evil. Page 6
or evil.
of 7. After being seen by a teacher in the bathroom taking selfies, Mackenzie was asked to zip up her hoodie and go to class, to which she responded by calling the teacher an effing B and a dumb B. I mean, I never was like that in high school. Like, you respected your teachers and your elders and the other adults that are around you. It just, I can't believe. And that goes to show you that her parents let her get away with it. You know, that's her parenting for you. Mackenzie and another unidentified female student got into a fight outside the school as they were exiting the building to board their bus home. Mackenzie allegedly said to another student, "If I was a slave owner, I would have killed," name redacted. This statement was made in addition to other comments made at lunch about the student. And although Mackenzie reportedly denied making this statement, at least 3 witnesses had heard her. So I did mention that before. Okay, here's the SpongeBob one. Sent a meme of SpongeBob saying, "I spy an N."
Huh.
Horrible. And upon being questioned,
hard R is what that looks like to me.
Mackenzie stated she was airdropped the meme but deleted it. She then changed her story a few minutes.
Do you all see it? That's a hard R, folks.
Minutes later, stating that she never did receive such a meme. And this became just cause for emergency removal. And the meme was reportedly seen on the phone and directly attributed to Mackenzie. And I know for a fact, because I've looked at, there's like I told you, thousands and thousands of pictures. I came across it and I saw it in the folder. During class, Mackenzie this is 10/29/18. She was seen playing a game on her phone. When the teacher asked her to get off the phone, Mackenzie told her she was playing a game with her mother. The teacher repeated herself a second time and Mackenzie failed to comply. When the teacher told her to go to the administration office, Mackenzie went to the restroom and locked herself in a stall. It took several teachers to address the matter with her. Mackenzie and an unidentified friends arrive at the school dance smelling of marijuana and acting erratically. They were confronted by SPD who were present at the ticket table. I noted the following. Notice of out-of-school suspension with expulsion recommended. The letter, which was signed by Natalie Sharilla, highlighted repeated acts of misconduct and threats made by Mackenzie toward another unidentified student. So just further, more proof that her parents were well aware. This is 2019. So we are like.
And again, her mom didn't act like this. Her mom said, "Oh, no, she's fine. Great at school. Doesn't need to be rehabilitated." "Oh, I know you don't need to be rehabilitated, Mackenzie. I know you don't." It's like, did you read any of this? Did you read any of the behavior reports and the diagnoses, etc.? I mean, let's go.
Hold on. That would make her what, 14? 15? I mean, really? You still had plenty of time. You had some precious years left to parent this girl and to fix this and turn it around. Okay, so I'm going to skip all that. Hold on, let me go through here. Let's see. I highlighted this for a reason, so let's go over it. Oh, remember I told you guys in my last video? Here it is where the police report, the investigators report. This is Investigator Hazu. He actually writes here, when Landon had he had told them about an encounter that he had with Steve Sharilla at the hospital when he was visiting Mackenzie. And according to Landon, Steve looked him in the eye and asked him to help him save his daughter. Okay. Just wanted to go through that. Hold on. I'm going to another highlighted section. Those are text messages. I'm going to do another video on those. Okay. Okay, the church. I'm not going to play the video, but we'll talk about the church a little bit. I began reviewing contents from Sharilla's Snapchat account, which we obtained pursuant to a search warrant, and Detective Glover first reviewed the content and selected what he deemed pertinent to our investigation of the crash for me to review. During his search, he came upon photographic and video recordings of Mackenzie and Dominic inside an abandoned church. In one of the photographs, I zoomed in on a place card at the bottom of the mirror, which the two subjects used for their selfie. The search, they searched the first 4 words of the inscription, the Columbia Church of God. This is really triggering for me because I'm very disappointed that they would go and break into a church. I mean, it's just total disrespect for the church. It's a holy place. So I'm pretty disappointed about that. But I think
So they broke into an abandoned church. I guess, abandoned. Does that make it any better?
goes on to later say, I think she tries to blame it all on Dom later, which is such BS. She said, "Oh, I didn't want to." She's on a phone call with her mom and she's like, "I didn't want to break into that church and it was Dom's idea." No, it wasn't. You were both doing it. You both were doing it. I saw. And you don't stand there with your phone trying to look all pretty taking the picture in the church. Okay. Okay, this is a quote from Angelo.
This is interesting. So Mackenzie would act crazy when she suspected Dominic of being unfaithful to her. So sounds like crazy as a manipulation attempt somehow. He further explained that when issues in Dominic and Mackenzie's relationship arose, things did not take a healthy course. Over time, Angelo's relationship with Mackenzie weakened and eventually ended because she was selfish. So could that be her fear of abandonment popping up? Sure, absolutely. Or need for control, or a combination of both, for sure. I asked Angelo to explain what he meant when he described Mackenzie as crazy. He said that Mackenzie would call Dominic and threaten to kill herself if Dominic broke up with her, a definition of emotional blackmail. Angelo further explained that both Mackenzie and Dominic had separately shared this information with him. He said, although Dominic cared for Mackenzie, he was tired of her controlling and selfish personality. There he goes, controlling, which led to him wanting to end the relationship. Angelo added that anytime Dominic would attempt to end the relationship, Mackenzie would make threats. Angelo admitted that it has been a while, that's what Aaron Lewis said, since Mackenzie threatened to kill herself. He attributed this to the fact that he had blocked her on Snapchat and even blocked her cell phone number. So, Mackenzie sounds both controlling and has a fear of abandonment, is what it sounds like to me. I mean, which one's which? Does it matter that much? Doesn't really matter. The bad behavior is the bad behavior, regardless of the motivation.
Talking to the investigator. Mackenzie would act crazy when she suspected Dominic of being unfaithful to her. He further explained that when issues in Dominic and Mackenzie's relationship arose, things did not take a healthy course. Over time, Angela's relationship with Mackenzie weakened and eventually ended because she was selfish. He said that Mackenzie would call Dominic and threaten to kill herself if Dominic broke up with her. Anytime Dominic would attempt to end the relationship, Mackenzie would make threats. According to Angelo, in recent months, Dominic had been wanting to break up with Mackenzie because he was getting tired of her possessiveness. He added that recently they were fighting between 2 to 3 times per week. Angelo confirmed having witnessed their verbal altercations, but never a physical altercation. Christine, on the other hand, stated that Dominic had called her in the past to get Mackenzie to leave his house because she physically assaulted him. So yes, we've got physical assault there. Now added in. I didn't know about that. I had no idea that there was any kind of like putting their hands on each other. I mean, I probably assumed like maybe shoving or like whatever. And then of course I saw the video of her trying to break into the house. But we don't see what happens after that. So Angelo added that even when Mackenzie got kicked out of Dominic's house, she would return immediately afterward and attempt to gain entry. So it sounds to me, according to this, that it was on more than one occasion. Angelo mentioned that when Mackenzie was in 10th grade, anytime she got kicked out of Dominic's house during a fight, she would go to her house and text Dominic about wanting to kill herself. And once she had her driver's license, when she got kicked out, she would drive herself back to his house. And Angelo added that as Mackenzie grew up, her behavior became more erratic.
Tired of the possessiveness too, huh?
Wanting to kill herself.
So according to Angelo, in recent months, Dominic had been wanting to break up with Mackenzie because he was getting tired of her possessiveness. He added that recently they were fighting between 2 to 3 times per week. Angelo confirmed having witnessed their verbal altercations, but never a physical altercation. Christine, on the other hand, stated that Dominic had called her in the past to get Mackenzie to leave his house because she physically assaulted him. Violent. Angelo added that even when Mackenzie got kicked out of Dominic's house, she would return immediately afterward in an attempt to gain entry. What do you want to bet that one video where she was threatening to huff and puff and blow his house down, or she would key his car, is probably after an incident like that? Angelo mentioned that when Mackenzie was in 10th grade, anytime she got kicked out of Dominic's house during a fight, she would go to her house and text Dominic about wanting to end her life. Once she had her driver's license, when she got kicked out, she would drive herself back to his house. Angelo added that as Mackenzie grew up, her behavior became more erratic. I mean, again, just makes it seem like she is the kind of person that would drive into a wall.
And once she had her driver's license, when she got kicked out, she would drive herself back to his house. And Angelo added that as Mackenzie grew up, her behavior became more erratic. Those are the money pics. Yeah, she's just disgusting. Okay, this is a message from Dominic to Mackenzie stating, I love you, but I can't deal with this every week with what's going on with my mom. If you want to be down, you can stay. But if you're going to put me through emotional stress, I can't keep doing this. It's only going to hurt me. This is an interview with Deanna. Who is Deanna again? Let's just read it. We'll figure it out. Deanna began by explaining that she had known Mackenzie through her son, David Tyler. Okay, this is Tyler Proctor's mom. So, who dated her on and off sometime around 10th or 11th grade. So, I don't know if you guys knew that. And I put up his full interview. It's on my page. But she was dating Tyler. And there's been mixed things out there about.
So, this is Deanna. Deanna began by explaining that she had known Mackenzie through her son, David Tyler Proctor, who dated her on and off sometime around 10th or 11th grade. Deanna explained that some of Mackenzie's behaviors caused her some concerns. The example she used had to do with the way Mackenzie's parents had raised her and their approval of certain behaviors, such as drinking and smoking. Yes, we did see that, didn't we? Deanna mentioned that Mackenzie bounced between 3 boyfriends, all of whom she believed Mackenzie argued with. She did not believe the relationships were healthy. When asked about threats towards her son, Deanna said she never heard the threats herself. She described Mackenzie as narcissistic. What do you know, Shadow says? What do you know?
Was Tyler before? Was he after Dom? He's actually woven in between Dom, is what I'm finding out here. So, like she would break up with Dom and then go out with Tyler. Apparently she slept around. She was with a lot of different guys. She was with a lot of people in their friend circle and everybody knew it. Everybody knew it, you know? So, this is his mother saying that, you know, Mackenzie was dating her son, David Tyler Proctor, on and off, 10th and 11th grade. Deanna explained that some of Mackenzie's behaviors caused her some concerns. The examples she used had to do with the way Mackenzie's parents had raised her and their approval of certain behaviors such as drinking and smoking. Deanna mentioned that Mackenzie bounced between 3 boyfriends, all of whom she believed Mackenzie argued with. She did not believe the relationship was healthy. When asked about threats towards her son, Deanna said she had never heard of the threats herself. She described Mackenzie as a narcissist. I reminded Deanna, this is the officer now, of the conversation she and I had on August 5th when she mentioned that she believed Mackenzie had threatened to kill herself and Dominic. So, do you understand that there? At one point, he's reminding her that she one time said that, and he's now following up with her. One thing I could tell you is in this report, it took forever for him to get Tyler Proctor to call back. There's a lot of people that this officer or Detective Hazoo would make requests for interviews, and either they would just stall and not call him back, or eventually they'd call him back, or they never did at all. In fact, some of her closest friends, who we'll go into a little bit, never got and gave an interview, ever. Never heard nothing from them. He said, I reminded Deanna of the conversation that she and I had on August 5th, 2022, when she mentioned that she believed Mackenzie had threatened to kill herself and Dominic. And I inquired about Deanna's source of information, and she said she heard it from her son and his friend Joey. So, they're backpedaling, changing some of the things they say. This could be one of them. And when asked if she knew anything about Mackenzie's driving, Deanna said her son did not have permission to be in the car with her. She suspected having heard her son say she drove fast. I think a lot of people got very afraid of being dragged into this. And, maybe in some ways I kind of understand, because in Netflix, The Crash is like number one in the whole world right now. And, all their information's out there. Again, I'm not glazing over anything. It's just can't do everything in one episode. So I'm just talking about certain things. Detective Glover, he spoke with Detective Glover. This is Hazoo now. Detective Hazoo speaks with Detective Glover about the recent incidents involving Mackenzie and the alleged threats that she was receiving. Detective Glover informed me that he was contacted by Christine Russo. This is the mom, who reported that the reason Landon Turner was not talking to us was because Mackenzie and her mother threatened Landon that if he spoke to the police, he would no longer remain on the Marietta College's football team. The next day, Christine confirmed that the person who was threatened was in fact.
Shadow's got his eye on that like button and how many likes there are. We have no idea how many there are, but he says, I have a feeling there's not enough. And Shadows also says, as always, super chats, super stickers, and becoming a channel member or gifting memberships, great ways to support the channel. Also to note, I didn't know this till the other day, but apparently Apple takes pieces of super chats as well. I didn't know that. So I've also included Venmo and things in there and PayPal in case people want to bypass those things if they want to support the channel. Shadow and I recommend doing that as well.
Tyler Proctor, not Landon Turner. But I personally think that there is truth in that. And I think that they only have confirmation of it being from Tyler Proctor. And I think it makes a lot of sense considering we all know about Landon Turner being the football player, right? I think if one was threatened, they all were. At least the ones that were either at the party or were very, very close to any of the three. I mean, think about that. Because I said to myself, why would this guy, Landon Bubba Turner, why would he take her side? Well, two reasons. The first reason was what I centered around my video I put out 2 days ago, is that when he got to the hospital, he had a crying Steve Sharella begging him in his face, help me save my daughter. And then I came across this. And I fully believe that it wasn't just Tyler Proctor. I think anybody that was close to them that was on the football team was told, you're not going to play football anymore if you don't help us out. Okay? So, and what does that mean about what kind of connections? I'm going to look into that some more. But do they have connections? Do the Sharilla family have any kind of connections to anybody who runs football in that town? That'd be a good question for Christine. Maybe she knows that, like Dom's sister. Okay. Okay, here that is again. I think this is about the football team again. No, that's not it. Okay. All right, let's go. Crystal. Landon Turner's mother is Crystal Arndt Turner. Left me a voicemail. She was upset because Marietta College police went to her son's dorm room to question him. I called Crystal back. She said her son was dealing with survivor's guilt and was reportedly suicidal. This is Bubba she's talking about right now. She was upset that police keep attempting to contact her son. I explained to her that although her son was not obligated to talk to me about the crash, I was investigating whether witness intimidation has taken place. I offered to put Crystal in direct contact with the APA troop. She agreed and I'll have to redact that after. All right. Sergeant Doyle added that during Mackenzie's stay at Metro Health, this is the one about the statement, Sergeant Doyle's statement. And I kind of already said that in my old video, so let's skip that. Well, you know what? I'll show you this right here. It's in the report, Detective Hazu's report. And this is about the damning statement that Mr. Shirilla said to the police, to two officers, two patrolmen and one detective. Okay. Sergeant Doyle proceeded to recount the incident with Steve Shirilla on the day Mackenzie was trying to leave the hospital, presumably to attend Dominic's funeral. I know from reading other things in the report that Steve and Natalie were frantic. She was trying to unhook things. She was getting up out of bed. She's like, I'm going to Dom's funeral.
So this is big here. When told they were not, Sergeant Doyle proceeded to recount that the incident with Steve Shirilla on the day Mackenzie was trying to leave the hospital, presumably to attend Dominic's funeral. Galassi wrote that Sergeant Doyle stated, Mr. Shirilla stated to him that they had to keep her, Mackenzie, in the hospital because she already tried to kill herself and she killed those two boys. Mr. Shirilla, Steve, said that. How about that? Did you hear that, folks? Did that register? Because that's big. The version of Steve that we saw the other day in the orange, I don't think he would ever say that.
Steve was desperate, panicking, so they called the police on their own daughter to come to the hospital to get her to stay so she wouldn't leave, because we all know these parents have absolutely no authority over her at all. They've got no balls, nothing. So the police show up, and it's two patrolmen and Sergeant Doyle. And he says that Mackenzie was trying to leave the hospital to attend Dominic's funeral. And Patrolman Galassi wrote that Sergeant Doyle stated, Mr. Shirilla stated to him that they had to keep Mackenzie in the hospital because, quote, she already tried to kill herself and she killed those two boys. Just wanted to point that out. Highlight it again. It's about the same thing. Okay. Okay, so this is about Tyler Proctor. They were running a search on Proctor, most recent address, etc. I explained to Nottingham that I needed to serve Proctor with a grand jury subpoena. He told me to come back in the evening after Proctor returns from work. According to Nottingham, Proctor just purchased a new blue or green vehicle with the license plate in the back window. No other details were provided. Why did I highlight that? I don't know. Landon, I highlighted Landon confirmed that Tyler Proctor had been trying to reach out to him, but Landon has refused to communicate with him. That's because Tyler was kind of going against Mackenzie. Messages on Mackenzie's Snapchat account pointing to suspected sex-related offenses.
Oh, Snapchat account with sex-related offenses. Detective Glover shared with me a string of Snapchat messages he found on Mackenzie's account. The messages were exchanged with 7 different users and seemed to pertain to a suspected sex-related offense. After consulting with APA Troop, the decision was made to further investigate the suspected sex crimes to ensure Mackenzie was not being victimized. Well, that's interesting.
Okay, here we go. Okay. He shared with me a string of Snapchat messages he found on Mackenzie's account. The messages were exchanged with 7 different users and seemed to pertain to a suspected sex-related offense.
So I think what they mean is this is her being the selling pics, feet pics and whatever. And maybe these guys are of all ages, so that's why they would think this.
The decision was made to further investigate these as crimes to ensure that she was not being victimized. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, I mean, if she's doing this under 18, then yeah, that would be a problem.
Phrasing. So as you can see, these are messages between her and, I want to say, a John, okay, a client. She writes 4 bands, which means $4,000. She says $1K for pics, $2K for a link. Then 2 bands, $2,000 to link. $1K for pics. Then again, she says $1K.
When she say a link, does that mean a link to a video or a link to meet up?
Pics, $2K link. And he goes, you something doing meets. Like, are you okay for doing meetups? Like something along those lines. I don't know what the FR stands for, but then he writes, you can have 4 straps of dollar bills. Wow, that's an insult. I'm just kidding. Send me a band and we can link up. LOL. Then she writes Ralph Lauren's, and I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And then she writes Cash App. Ralph Lauren X could be like a screen name on her Cash App, maybe. Okay, and then she writes 1,000.
Send 1,000. We can link anything you want for 2,500. I think Mackenzie said that.
She noticed she's negotiating down. She originally went from $4,000 down to 1,000. I'm not going to read the next line. Sorry, can't read that, but you can see it. But it's pretty bad. He tells her what he's going to do to her. Send 1,000. We can link anything you want for 2,500. And then
I think the 2,500, anything you want, that's not just a link, a video link. That's an in-person exchange, I think.
He writes, get money in person. No effing way. I send you anything up front, especially $1,000. LOL. So let me know when and where you want to do it. So yeah.
Where and when you want to do it, not just a video link is what that means.
Guys, pretty bad stuff. Hope you were able to see that. I don't know if you're just listening or you're watching too, but okay. Those are, again, the Snapchat messages that they're referring to here. Now, I will say that in the FOIA, now I don't have it, it's redacted, but it is in the FOIA that there are bad photos of her, nude photos of her. I think there's like 4 or 5 topless photos. And then there's a couple other photos, but they're not in the FOIA. Like, I'm not, and I wouldn't want to see them anyway. But just so you know, she was sending pictures of herself. Proctor confirmed that.
So used cocaine at parties and occasionally tripped.
Mackenzie's parents knew that she was smoking marijuana. He recalled having smoked marijuana in the backyard. He described both
song bits. I think that the father has his head in the sand. I think he's an enabler. They sweep problems under the rug. And even if he were to see it, he probably wouldn't believe it. He would say, Mackenzie said she didn't do it, so I believe Mackenzie, which is total BS because the proof is right there. And again, it's not just links, not just pics. She was at least offering or attempting to set up with someone. Did it actually happen? I don't know. But there's certainly the attempt.
Her parents is nice, with her dad attempting to be an authority figure. According to him, Mackenzie was spoiled and was never disciplined. He said he learned that she used cocaine also and occasionally tripped. Proctor denied being threatened by anyone about not talking to the police. So he's saying he was never threatened about the football team, I guess, there, right? Let's see. The detective Hazu served Cash App a search warrant by submitting it electronically. I never see in this report what the outcome was from that. And I don't know if it's because they decided not to use the information or what. She had many TikTok names: Baby Kush H, Baby Cushy, Lilkin ZB. Okay, this is regarding the Carney talk. Language spoken by Mackenzie and her mother was tentatively identified as Carney talk. See the following video. Everybody's heard her on these calls, so we know what it sounds like. But it's Carney talk. It's a unique language. I think they put like EEZ after every consonant, I think it is. But it's absolutely ridiculous. But I will say that, like, I don't know if I could ever learn something like that. And it's clear by the way they talk to each other, her and her mother, and even her own mother knows it, right? That this has been the way they talk to each other for a long period of time. It's not like all of a sudden she learned because she got arrested. She has obviously been talking like that for a very, very long time. So
I wonder what the origins of that language even are. Like, why did they feel the need to talk in a gibberish language anyway? Who are they trying to speak? You know what? Maybe that makes me think. Shadow says, you know what that probably was? Maybe that's when the mother and the daughter would like gang up on the father there and speak in their gibberish language. Maybe. Maybe. They didn't want him to know something, so the mother and daughter would be in cahoots. Certainly possible.
So I find it very, very odd. East Cleveland Police Department investigator F. Harrington emailed the following. After listening to this, and I let a good friend who I trust listen to it, we came up with the same thing. I attached a picture of what she heard. A lot of misspells here. So see what I'm doing here? Like, it's not all me, guys. I don't want you to think like I don't know how to read. I attached a picture of what she heard, that we heard similar things. And the hospital one is talking about her purse, which is plain English. Hopefully this helps you in some way. So apparently this is what they wrote down. They figured out that she said from the Carney talk, can you tell the doctor to write a note that I need to go home? And he also heard seizures. I don't think I can do this.
Can you tell the doctor to write a note that I to go home? Seizures, I don't think. So, I don't know about this. This is what Miss Amanda was saying that she didn't say yesterday.
I'm scared. Mom, I don't think so because I'm in so much pain. And I know there's another note where it said, can't we just tell them that I had a seizure? But that one is not on here. I don't know why. Okay.
Well, it might maybe not because it's maybe not what was said in that regard.
Okay, this is regarding her client John activities. Messages indicate that Mackenzie voluntarily engaged in, you guys see what it says, acts with other people, likely in exchange for monetary value without being forced to commit those acts. So Mackenzie writes, you realize I'm just going to go get a sugar daddy and start selling feet pics, and I'm going to be doing just fine. So this is really your last chance to handwrite me an apology or fix this, or we're really done. This is Dominic.
So I saw this. This is what made me think not as much borderline at the time, because this doesn't seem like the fear of abandonment version. This seems like I'm going to be in control of this and I'm emotionally blackmailing you. I'll be good one way or the other. But the other messages we saw, that is more borderline-ish when she threatens to end her life. This is the opposite of that. This is, I'm good. I'm just going to go get a sugar daddy and sell feet pics. Screw you, unless you write me a handwritten apology.
Dominic writes, yeah, you let a dude F your feet for money like 6 months ago. She writes, we were broken up. Then she writes,
again, that's not a denial, right? She didn't say, no, I didn't. She says, we were broken up, which to me means that she did it. She did do that, is what that means.
We were broken up and it was feet, LMAOA. Once again, then leave. Then Dominic writes, yeah, I love you, but last time you started hanging with her, you literally let her sell your body to that random dude. And then Dominic adds, and she hooked up with him also. Look at that. I want to paraphrase just, to keep YouTube from taking this down. Then Mackenzie writes, we were broken up and it was just my feet. Do you think about it more than I think about it? He goes, you ran off and became a prostitute. Then Mackenzie replies, because I don't personally think it's bad, but if you do and we are together, then I'm not going to do it. Then Dominic wrote, you could never tell your family you were a prostitute. And then Mackenzie replies, because it's only my business and it's not a prostitution. So, yeah. So with that in mind, guys, I've realized that I have so much more and I cannot finish all of it today. So I'm going to wrap up today. I'm going to wrap it up right now and do a part 2. This is going to be part 1. And
so this is Moms for Justice. Make sure you check that out, everybody. We got one more video to go over before we call it a night. Because I'm a little tired today. Hell on Wheels.
Hell on wheels. Mackenzie Shrilla kills 2 young men and now demands Kim Kardashian come to her aid, amongst other diva commands. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
17-year-old Mackenzie Shrilla is driving home after a party with her boyfriend and a friend as passengers. Surveillance footage shows the Toyota Camry suddenly accelerating, reaching speeds of up to 100 miles per hour as it moves through the area. Within seconds, a loud, violent crash is captured on camera.
There's a car that smashed up against the building. I didn't go up to it because I was on my motorcycle. I didn't know if I'd get stuck, but they ran the curb. I can see they smashed the sign and hit the building. The car's crashed.
Let me understand. 2 young men, very young men, are dead because of Mackenzie Shrilla, yet she is making diva demands, insisting that Kim Kardashian come defend her, and is upset the Today Show did not interview her. Okay, let me let that sink in for just one moment. Straight out to Joel Waldman, co-host of Surviving the Survivor. What happened to the victims?
You know, obviously 100 miles an hour into a brick wall. What's really interesting, if you see prior to crashing into the wall, there is a slow, meticulous turn, and that is why this bench judge eventually convicted Mackenzie Shrilla of these crimes, but they go directly into that brick wall. From what I understand, one of the 2 victims dies instantly, the other does not. Mackenzie Shrilla was never unconscious at the hospital, and had her wits about her the entire time. So I was stunned to hear that.
Before we go to Dominic's sister, Christine, listen to this.
I've never spoke before, and I never.
Dominic's sister, Christine, she has her own channel. I think it's called Big Sister Unhinged.
Told my side of the story, and I understand there's many different sides to the story and different perspectives, but I just want to say my truth, and I just know myself, and I know I'm not a monster.
My truth. I immediately get suspicious when someone says my truth, which means
I do too, Nancy. Shadow gets suspicious when he hears people say my truth as well.
what? Your truth is different from everybody else's truth? How can that be? That's from our friends at Netflix. You say, I know I'm not a monster. Yes, you are. Listen.
It was like 5 a.m, and we
Leave it to Nancy to rip off the Band-Aid and tell you all what she really thinks and feels.
decided to head back to Dom's house, and I remember turning on the street, and then I'm waking up in the hospital the next day, and my whole life is shattered, and I have no recollection of that morning. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I was a driver of a tragedy, but I'm not a murderer.
That's from our friends at
Quite the performance here, I would say. I mean, just listen to her phone calls. It's quite a different tone. Looks smug.
Netflix. She's lying through her teeth. Why is she saying, I woke up in the hospital, have no idea what happened. My whole life is shattered. Girl, they're dead. They're dead. Their families' lives are shattered. Straight out to Christine Russo. This is Dominic's sister. She is the star of the Big Sister Unhinged podcast, trying to preserve her little brother's legacy. That's what she's left with. That is what her family is left with, dealing with this young man's death. Needless, senseless death. Christine, when you hear her talking, it's got to just push you over the edge.
Yeah, it really makes me sick, honestly.
This is Dominic's sister, of course, Christine Russo.
I just watching.
I've actually seen her on Instagram too. She mentioned something that I should mention as well. She said, with the releasing of the documentary, The Crash, I mean, to everyone else, it's entertainment, but for her and the families of the people that lost loved ones, Dominic's and Davion's family, it's ripping off the band aid again and making it tougher again. So people should remember that as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I try not to listen or watch many things, but it just makes me absolutely sick.
What happened when you learned Dominic had been killed?
The second that I learned or my family learned that Dominic had been killed, like I say, there's before Dom and after Dom. It's completely shattered. I can't even put into words how tragic this has been for our entire family. So much so that it's like, I don't see this will never get better. There will be no, anything getting better ever for us.
What happened when you learned your brother had been killed?
I got a phone call from my dad. And he kept calling over and over, and I get no reception. And all I could hear was him saying, Dom's gone, Dom's gone. But I have a few Doms in my family. I didn't want to think my brother, and we immediately left the island. My brother, Mikey, rear-ended somebody trying to get home so we could all be together, smashed somebody's car up from behind, just completely. Ever since then, it's just tragic.
Christine Russo joining us. This is Dominic's sister. It wasn't the moment. It wasn't a split second. It was her intentionally crashing into a fixed object, killing Dominic. That's what changed everyone's life forever. How many different people or things can she blame?
Yeah, it wasn't a split second at all. She actually, if you watch the video, you could tell they're fighting in the car on the main road. She keeps braking her car. You could see the car lights braking for no reason. The road was completely dead. Nobody's on the road. And before the turn that you don't even have to brake on, she's slamming on her lights or slamming on her brakes. You could see the brake lights in the car. And from then on, she just floored it 100%. And it wasn't a split second. It's a long street. She floored it with no brakes the entire time into the building.
The two arguing at the time. What is your theory, Christine? Why did she do this?
Dominic they were steady breaking up. Dominic had been trying to get rid of her and break up with her for quite some time. He's confided in his best friends and, our closest siblings.
Trouble. She's trouble.
And things that he was steady trying to break up with her. And I just think that she couldn't have that. She couldn't understand that. She wasn't willing to let him go.
Joel Waldman, explain to me the physical evidence that she intentionally crashed and killed, not just Dominic, two people dead.
Yeah, well, there are absolutely no skid marks. Obviously, they did a crash investigation and a homicide investigation kind of concurrently. But like I said, there was a slow turn just prior to this acceleration. So we know that she was in control of the car, at least up to this point where we're seeing this car turn. There was no health emergency. There was never any evidence of a health emergency. She claimed, and the family claims, that she suffers from something called POC, which affects your blood pressure. There was never any evidence admitted.
Wait. Is that her with a big fat blunt? Hold on. Wait. Excuse me, Joel, please look at can we replay that? Is that her?
Nancy was probably one hell of a prosecutor, Shadow says. You wouldn't want to get her in her crosshairs.
At the wheel with a big blunt?
Yeah, so Nancy, they tested her. There was psilocybin and marijuana in the car. She did test positive for that blunt, not that specific one, because that's a different time. But she tested positive for marijuana, not for the psilocybin, which are mushrooms, and not for alcohol. But yeah, I mean, she's just absolutely reckless driving around on prior occasions, and it's sad to say, but it's not all that surprising. I mean, it's really it makes me indignant. Nancy, I know you get upset about these things, but to think that a then 17-year-old just totally had no respect for these other two lives and is able to just do this, it just blows the mind. What is going on with this generation, with the society, with social media? What is happening?
Joel, tell me about the victims, Dominic and Davian.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were friends. Davian was a star football player at the high school. Dom, he was a very studious person, took school seriously. He was really into fashion. He had just set up an LLC, and he literally had his entire life ahead of him. I mean, Dom was 20 years old. I mean, that's, to you and I, Nancy, that's a little kid in his own mind, a young adult, and he had everything going, as did Davian Flanagan. I mean, absolutely everything in front of them, completely stolen and ripped out from them. And, I felt Christine's pain. Christine, I think we'll talk about this. Her father has an illness and has not been well since this crash. And Nancy, you know better than anybody about the, ripple effect with victims and their family. And I'm sure Davian's family, they are just gutted and crushed. And I don't know that they will ever be the same.
Well, to make matters worse, they got to hear this.
Mackenzie, it's on the Today Show.
What?
Girl, I'm telling you, they're about to get ready for the biggest plot twist of the century, right?
What? What did they say about me?
No, it's not on the TV. It's just online, and they're just reposting the story, but that's okay. That's okay, right? That's all right. Plot twist, right? That's okay. Write your book. Start writing your book. You hear what I'm saying?
Oh, my stars. I need a shrink. Dr. Cheryl Arrett is with us. She is a licensed clinical forensic psychologist specializing in trauma. You can find her at askdrcheryl.com. Did you hear the sulky silence? Wait, let's hear it one more time. Could you please play that one more time? These are taped recordings of the defendant, Shrilla, behind bars, whining because the Today Show didn't come interview her.
Kenzie, it's on the Today Show.
What?
Girl, I'm telling you, they're about to get ready for the biggest plot twist of the century, right?
What? What did they say about me?
No, it's not on the TV. It's just online, and they're just reposting the story, but that's okay. That's okay, right? That's all right. Plot twist, right? That's okay. Write your book. Start writing your book. You hear what I'm saying?
They both sound like a bunch of schoolgirls there. Mom and daughter schoolgirls.
Dr. Cheryl, help me.
What I am hearing is that this mom is walking on eggshells with her daughter, even while she's confined in prison. That this young girl is so volatile and so difficult to deal with that the mom is trying to engage and collude with this attention seeking and trying to twist this into some kind of positive thing. This is a tragic, awful situation. And I'm not seeing any evidence of POTS, and I don't think POTS could cause something like this. To me, this seems a lot more consistent with.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. The pot stuff is just complete BS, in my opinion. It's like, has there ever been a POTS flare up in prison? Somehow I doubt it.
It's a very severe form of borderline personality disorder where people get incredibly volatile, dysregulated, are obsessed with fear of abandonment, and can get really scary and act out sometimes in really extreme ways when they think that someone is going to leave them. And it looks like Dom was trying to break up with her for a long time.
And Dr. Cheryl Arrett, you're not suggesting that she's getting sulky about the Today Show. What does she want? Savannah Guthrie to come interview her? Is that what she wants? That's not
I think she
happening.
wants
I don't think that's happening anyway. And so you're
Right.
saying that's because she feels abandoned?
I think that she had a lethal temper tantrum because she felt abandoned. I think that this happened because Dom was trying to break up with her.
Feels abandoned. She killed Dominic and Davian.
I can foresee a comedy skit of Nancy Grace therapy, having a borderline come into Nancy Grace, and she'd be like, fear of abandonment. What? She'd be like, get the hell out of my office.
Exactly.
So what?
Exactly.
They abandoned her. She killed them. I'm sorry,
She
Dr. Cheryl.
did.
Are you actually saying she had a lethal temper tantrum because she felt abandoned?
I'm saying that because that is a symptom of an extreme form of borderline personality disorder where people get desperate and act out.
I do. Shadow says we should make a comedy skit of Nancy Grace giving counseling to all of the issues, whether it's anxiety, depression, personality disorders. It'd be funny if you have a dark sense of humor like me and Shadow.
When they think that
She
someone
does
is
not
going to
look
leave
like
them,
she
it's an
feels
illness.
abandoned to me. She
Yeah.
looks like she's high on pot and everything is about me, 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 me. Now, you said personality disorder. Isn't a narcissistic personality a histrionic personality? Aren't those personality disorders as well? Wouldn't they fit her?
Those are, and people can have traits of narcissism and histrionic as well. Absolutely, that can exist.
Yeah, I mean, to me, she seems to have a fair amount of narcissism, borderline, and antisocial traits. Because here's the thing, there's no such thing in the DSM as a psychopath or sociopath. They're both just under antisocial personality disorder. Keep that in mind. So, but I'll say psychopathic, narcissistic, and borderline. She's got a bit of all of them, in my opinion.
She does seem incredibly preoccupied with herself, and there is a real lack of empathy and awareness for what she's done to these young men and their families
Feelings
and how
of
permanent that is. She
abandonment.
seems-
My
that's-
rear
it's
end.
crazy.
Objection. My rear end. Christine Russo, will you help me and help? Typically I'm lockstep with Dr. Cheryl Errett. I hear what she's saying. I agree with it. She verbalizes it perfectly. But Shrilla did not kill your brother because she was having feelings of abandonment.
I don't know. I mean, I really think that I guess he was trying to leave her. So I'm not a doctor, but she couldn't let go. And really, I think it was because she's so self-absorbed. She cared about her image so much, about how she was going to.
Image. That's the narcissism part, caring about her image. And what did she say on the phone? What's the first thing she said? Oh, what did they say about me? What did they say about me on the Today Show? And again, it's not like she was even like concerned about the loss of Dominic or Davion. She more like sounded giddy that she was getting attention, and she was just hoping it was positive attention.
Look after she had absolutely no dom, no job, no school, nothing going for her. She's just a terrible person. She's the most terrible person. But I don't know. I think she's so self-absorbed. She didn't want people to think that she was left, or like she just couldn't let him.
Kenzie, I love you, but I don't think we should be together. There isn't much time on Earth. I don't want to fight all the time. I don't want you to think I'm abandoning you. I don't think it's going to work at this point with the threats. We should both find happiness somewhere else. Pretty smart.
Go. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Now, when this text message was sent, I don't know.
Being angry because your boyfriend is dumping you and killing him is a lot different from reacting out of feelings of abandonment. Can I just see the videos of her again with that big fat bong and that big fat doobie? I'm not buying it. To Dr. Thomas Coyne joining us, renowned medical examiner out of Tallahassee, Florida, never a lack of business at the morgue there. He is a toxicologist, forensic pathologist, and neuropathologist. What happened to the victims, Dr. Coyne?
Sure. I mean, this is a classic example of a high velocity impact trauma. And so when the vehicle impacted the vehicle, and as we discussed previously, going approximately 100 miles an hour, the rear passenger who was unrestrained, unfortunately, upon impact and that sudden deceleration, his body more than likely would have been thrown forward in the vehicle, impacting not only other passengers, but the vehicle itself, also intrusion of parts of the vehicle into the car. And the front passenger as well. I think most of the impact was to that side of the vehicle. And so think about just how much force is being applied to the head and neck, as well as the body. Vital organs that are housed in there, our brain, our heart, the aorta. And so those structures can tear or be crushed very easily with such forces, especially when you're going 100 miles an hour.
Another thing, they would have known what was about to happen, Dr. Coyne, because they could see what she was doing before their death.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing to suggest they were unconscious or incapacitated prior to impact. And so up until the point of impact, they would have certainly been aware of what was about to happen.
Shadow wants me to remind you all to like the video because likes are free. Make sure you spank the like button. Leave your DNA of choice on the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend or 5 about the flock of black sheep here. Black Sheep Nation. There is some merch, some shirts that are just like this that say Revenge of the Black Sheep or Black Sheep Nation. Check them out. Link will be in the description. And super chats, super stickers, and becoming a channel member or gifting channel memberships. Great ways to support the channel. They help me to pay for Shadow the Night Owl here's soy-free Hootie snacks. Shadow's very testosterone and hormone conscious, so let's help him out with that. And thank you very much for all of the support I've been getting so far.
Happen.
And say hello to the flock of black sheep. Why don't you?
Hi, guys. American homeowners. The FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud called title theft. Veteran trial lawyer Derek Smith. I want him to have all the evidence, including this secretly recorded phone call.
So wait, it's all over the world now that Today Show is like national news?
Okay, I got to tell you one more thing.
What?
It was published in England.
What?
Yes.
It's world news?
I think the Daily Mail just publishes it in all their publications, but yeah, the UK.
It's on the Daily Mail?
In UK.
Maybe Kim Kardashian will reach out herself.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping. We're getting there. I was going to do this anyway, so this is great.
And they could just reach out to us.
Mm-hmm. Craziness, baby girl.
Christine Russo, why are they laughing?
Somebody tell me that, please. It's the most twisted, most evil laugh to me that I've ever heard in my life. I don't understand why they think this is funny or why her being an evil murderer for the entire world to see, how that's funny to them. I really truly believe, and that's why I'm starting this, the Doms and Davion's law, is that they care so much about her.
I hear it again.
Secretly recorded phone call.
So wait, it's all over the world now that Today Show is like national news?
Okay, I got to tell you one more thing.
What?
It was published in England.
What?
Yes.
It's world news?
I think the Daily Mail just publishes it in all their publications, but yeah, the UK.
It's on the Daily Mail?
In UK.
Maybe Kim Kardashian will reach out herself.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping. We're getting there.
Yeah, they're just not socially calibrated at all. They have no idea how they come off to others. They're extremely tone deaf. It's just ridiculous.
I was going to do this anyway, so this is great.
And they could just reach out to us.
Mm-hmm. Craziness, baby girl.
Christine Russo, why are they laughing?
Somebody tell me that, please. It's the most twisted, Most evil laugh to me that I've ever heard in my life. I don't understand why they think this is funny, or why her being an evil murderer for the entire world to see, how that's funny to them. I really truly believe, and that's why I'm starting this, the Doms and Davion's law, is that they care so much about her becoming famous and popular, that is what they're set out to do, and that's what they've always cared about. It's always been about becoming Instagram famous, TikTok famous, for years. Even after she killed my brother and Davion, she laid in the hospital bed hours after killing 2 people, hours after filming herself making TikToks and her and her mother trying to get modeling gigs on Instagram within hours after killing people. That's all they care about is fame, people talking about them. They think that they're going to get the attention of Kim Kardashian and somehow they're going to get rich and get out. I think they're completely delusional.
Straight out to a special guest joining us, in addition to Dom's sister, Christine Russo. Cheyenne Topping is with us. And this is Sharilla's prison girlfriend for nearly a year. Cheyenne, what do you make of what you are seeing and hearing tonight?
I think it's really crazy about like how big this all stuff was, especially coming from the inside.
Mackenzie, Sharilla's prison girlfriend in 2023 for about 8 to 9 months.
And seeing it when I got out.
Tell me how Sharilla spoke of the murder victims.
So whenever Mackenzie would speak of Dom or Davion, she did speak like really highly of them, which is expected of someone going through an appeal trying to get out for murder. So I didn't really like tune into it a lot because I knew it just wasn't genuine.
Is it true that Sharilla constantly walked the track to keep up her figure?
Yeah, that is true. She also had a race trainer that I have no idea where she got it from. She must have bought it from one of the pregnant girls that came in. She would wear that every day in prison too.
What is that?
Like a race trainer, you could wrap it around your your abdomen area, pull it tight so it keeps your hips like more in.
Okay, good to know. So beside working on her figure behind bars, is that so she'll look good when she gets out and becomes a star?
That's what she's planning on. What she was telling me in there, she said she was so glad that in the crash her face did not get messed up because she was going to get a model. She had a modeling gig waiting on her when she got out. That she was going to then wasn't eating the prison food because she didn't want it to mess up her figure as well. And as you know, the waist trainer and everything. So yes.
So how the hell do you not eat the prison food? You live off the commissary?
That's what she's planning on.
Okay, hold on. Let me understand this. Guys, joining me as a special guest, this is Mackenzie Shrilla's girlfriend behind bars nearly a year. What modeling gigs did she think she was getting when she gets out?
I guess someone had commented on her Instagram post and said they were interested in working with her, which was showed in the documentary. But at the time, I did not know that because I was still in prison and it hadn't dropped yet. But she had mentioned to me that she was getting one.
Okay, let me understand. Did she really believe Kim Kardashian was going to come defend her?
Yeah, she 100% believed that Kim Kardashian was going to come and save her and that she was going to overturn her, as she said, wrongly convicted case.
Wrongly convicted. Okay, here she is going on behind bars about Kim Kardashian.
My mom was like, well, maybe Kim Kardashian's seen. And I was like, I hope. Yeah, maybe Kim will now that it's like all over. I was like, I mean, that's the only thing that might be good about the whole media thing. Maybe Kim will see it. I don't know. You have to figure out because I'm real nervous and I want Kim Kardashian to be my lawyer. She's a lawyer. Yeah, she gets innocent people out of jail. She does all the time. Kim works hard.
They sound like they're having like a freaking sleepover or something.
She is. Miss Kimberly, we're going to have her get you out.
Kim Kardashian, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, back to Cheyenne Topping. So she thinks she's going to be a model. She wears contraption to help her figure. She walks the track all the time. Does she ever reach out to the victims' families to make amends or apologize for
I mean, let's face it. Does that sound like someone that's remorseful in any way? Does that sound like someone that like feels really bad about what they've done? Not at all. I mean, just not at all. It just seems like she puts on those performances in front of the judge, or what's the other time she did in the show, The Crash, right? But outside of that, that's not really her. That's just the performance.
what happened?
Not that I know of. When she was telling me in there when I was with her, she told me actually that they were all cool and that they were coming to court for her to defend her. So I was like, because that's one reason why I think, okay, maybe this was an accident when I was in there with her, because she told me the family was siding with her.
Okay, how likely is that, Christine Russo?
The family siding with her? Well, that's a lie. Survey says that's a lie.
That you are going to try and help her get out of jail?
There's not a chance in this lifetime or next or the following. There's not even a slight chance that not one single person in our family or a distant relative would ever do such a thing.
And let's face it also, I mean, even if that was an end your own life attempt by Mackenzie, would the family of Dominic or Davion care one bit about that? It's basically a murder-suicide at that rate, right? If that's what she wanted to do, doesn't make it any better at all. And it's still also the murder. Like, it's one thing if you want to do that just yourself, but there's the element of, no, not just me, you are coming with me, because if I can't have you, nobody can. And that goes for you too, Davion. But again, I just don't think she cared one bit that he was even there.
Cheyenne Topping, you mentioned that she's absolutely certain she's getting a modeling gig when she gets out, right?
Yeah, she truly believes that she is.
Guys, she is extremely interested in the so-called hot felon. Listen.
I know I have this feeling that something's going to happen. Like with all these people reaching out, it like makes me feel like, I don't know. Like you remember that one guy who got arrested for murder and he became like a model?
I remember that guy.
Now, like I watched a movie with him in it.
You did?
Yes.
Oh my
It's
God.
called The Secret Society. It's good as.
He was arrested for murder. He probably didn't even do anything.
Straight out to veteran trial lawyer Derek Smith.
That's good old mom being the bestie of Mackenzie there. Oh, he's arrested for murder. Probably didn't do anything. He's innocent.
Has tried a lot of cases, and you can find him at dwsmithlegal.com. Derek, okay, so let's just pretend you get a new trial. Let's just pretend, which is not going to happen. Let's just pretend. All of this is going to come into evidence, all of these phone calls, because the law is the jury can consider what happened before, during, and after the event.
Well, I mean, they're going to try. I mean, as far as the prosecution goes, to get this into evidence, but unfortunately for them, she does have fantastic legal representation. Her case is in my home jurisdiction here in Cleveland. I've been following it closely since it happened. So they'll do their best to try to get all that stuff in. But I have a feeling that if that does, get remanded for a new trial, that they're not going to be able to, because it's overly prejudicial, a lot of speculation, a lot of back and forth with mom and things like that. And her outstanding legal defense will make sure that does not get in.
Put him up. Derek Smith, when you say it's a lot of speculation, it's not speculation as to whether it is her on the phone and the mom on the phone. So that is not a grounds for suppression of these tapes. They are speculating about when Savannah Guthrie is going to come interview her for the Today Show. That's the only speculation going on around here. But wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh my God. Could you believe that? If Savannah Guthrie interviewed Mackenzie Shrilas from jail, that would break the internet too.
Listen to this, Derek, and you might as well, start quickly coming up with something to say.
Please don't forget to change my Instagram bio. Try to get into that one Instagram account and change my name to that
If
other.
they ain't hating,
You're doing something wrong.
you're doing something wrong. Kenzie, that may look bad right now. Okay, I'll put Free Kenzie on there, but that's going to look bad. It's
All right,
not,
do
they're not gonna
hashtag
take
free
it the way you
Cassie.
mean it.
Hashtag innocent.
There you
Hashtag-
go.
Hashtag delusional, hashtag borderline, hashtag narcissism, hashtag psychopathic, hashtag emotional blackmail.
Hashtag, just do all the hashtags in that and delete my bio. Just do the hashtags in my bio.
Derek, the mom is saying that might look a tiny bit bad right now. Really?
Well,
Yeah,
the
it
case
looks
is-
bad. It is prejudicial because everything she said is like it's like a treasure trove of information for the prosecution to show her frame of mind.
Oh no, absolutely. There's got to be a mens rea, to
That's a great question there, XRIS, Chris. This is Shadow the Night Owl. He is my right-hand man and my buddy, the spirit animal and mascot of the channel here. So his name is Shadow. He likes soy-free Hootie snacks, super chat, super stickers, and becoming a channel member or gifting memberships. Help me pay for Shadow the Night Owl's soy-free Hootie snacks. We also put some in the Hootie Snack 500. That is our investment fund.
to make these charges stick, the intent. But in her mind, she's innocent. Nancy, in this case, is still on appeal. So, if this case does get remanded back, you got an innocent girl in jail that now gets another day in court. And unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to get some of these jail calls and any of these things admitted into evidence, because that really doesn't have to do with the underlying intent for the underlying offense that she was convicted of, by a judge. In this case, it was tried to the bench. It was not to a jury.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And somehow, Derek, you've managed to spin all that hay into gold yet again. Kat Crowder joining me right now, inmate who did time with Sharilla. Kat, thank you for being with us. What was she like behind bars?
This girl here, she looks different on every show she's on. We saw her with Brian Hitton. We saw her in somewhere else. I can't remember where. Was it Ashley Banfield? I can't remember.
Mackenzie Sharilla was completely different than the girl that was portrayed in the documentary. She was very similar to these videos that we're seeing here. Very much, makeup done every single day, had her clothes altered to fit her tight, hair done, gems in her hair, very girly and attention seeking. Look at me, look at me, look at me.
Okay. I want you to listen to her making another demand to her mother, demanding she wants her iPad. That's the last thing the jail wants, is to hear somebody's mommy whining that their killer daughter doesn't have an iPad. Listen.
I really want my iPad though.
Do they have any idea when they're going to bring it to you? Do you have any idea? Probably not.
No, I'm about to ask. Can you call and ask? Please, please, please.
No, I
Why?
can't. Because the last time I called about your thing, they were like, if I do that, then that's special treatment. You'll get it when you get it.
Why the man?
Has
I wonder what she said next, but at least she said no once.
anybody on this panel ever heard of pig Latin? My name is Antsy Nay Race Gray. Okay, it's put you A on the end of every word. Okay, these two spoke in code, i.e. pig Latin. Listen.
Oh, God.
Oh my God, is right. Yes. He's a we don't he's like he's really she like she didn't he's a rewrite.
Which one?
We don't like he's like a midam. We don't
Oh, great. Don't forget. You said, can I say it out? Can I say it in return just to make sure?
Oh, yeah.
I can talk. Rape, you're saying rape?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So don't forget, that might not be what really happened. She's being accused of that. Right. Because don't forget, people say that all the time to get other people in trouble. Well, you see, that's happening to you.
What in the world? Kat Crowder joining me, inmate who did time with.
Now that's another reality show that Shadow came up with. Having Nancy Grace have a daughter like Mackenzie. Parenting with Nancy Grace. Now, wouldn't that be interesting to see how that went down?
Sharilla What is she doing?
I mean, I have absolutely no idea. You know, there's been a lot of speculation
I don't know where that essay thing is, what they're even talking about with that. I really don't know.
about what that language is, from Gypsy to Pig Latin, all these things. I think it's just mind blowing how fast and quickly they understand what each other are saying, because I can't even begin to dissect that. When I was incarcerated with her, I personally never heard her speak in that language.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. Please join us on Crime Stories and stream it first.
Well, remember, don't drive, because that's murder if you drive with that.
I mean, for real, right?
That's so wrong. And did you put that in your license?
So, antagonistic sarcasm.
Oh, I should really update my
You
life.
have 1 minute left.
There's people with epilepsy.
That drive?
You do not have to put that on your license. That you have.
If you have seizures, you actually lose your license. If you actually legitimately get seizures, they don't. They take that very seriously.
Epilepsy, like literal epilepsy.
Okay, let me understand what I'm hearing. Joel Waldman is joining us, co-host, star of Surviving the Survivor. She's now trying to claim that.
Deb, you know what you reminded me of? You know how in The Exorcist that Damien says to Father Merrin, I think she has multiple personalities. And Father Merrin says, no, there is only one. There's only one. And basically what Father Merrin would say is, you must be careful because the demon is a liar. But it will mix lies with the truth to attack you. The attack is psychological, so it's mandatory to not listen. When it comes to a cluster B personality, I don't buy the multiple personalities. No, there is one rotten core, the end, that can look all sorts of ways, but there really is just one.
She blacked out, and that's what happened? Then how did she keep her foot on the gas?
Yeah, I mean, this family, the more I'm listening to all these clips you're playing, Nancy, and I've heard bits and pieces of a lot of them, they're simply pathological. I'll give you a diagnosis, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a psychologist, but my dad, may he rest in peace, was a psychiatrist. He'd call her a spoiled brat, and it's just to a level that I have never ever seen before. After the fact, they're now claiming she had this respiratory illness, POTS, that she had these blackouts. But look, this went, and Nancy, this is your wheelhouse. This went to a trial. They chose a bench trial, meaning a judge and not a jury of her peers. And she was convicted on 12 counts. I had someone on my show tweet at me saying, oh, you're only showing one side of the story. I don't see a second side of the story here. Would I interview the Shirillas? Yeah, but I think they raised a bad seed. I don't know if it was, nature or nurture, but there is something massively wrong with this family all around.
Take a listen to more of the conversations we've gotten on tape.
People are very into people that are in jail, especially people that they think are cute. So just be careful.
I'm cute as and I'm not looking for any relationship.
No, that's what
unless
I
it's
mean.
dumb.
Yeah, this is really orange and black. I'm like the prettiest person here. Like, I feel bad even saying that, but like, I wonder if you it's community shower on the other level too. I don't know. I don't care. I just am scared. I'm scared to shower, right? Yes. Yeah. Well, then don't.
Oh, my stars. Kat Crowder joining us, inmate who did time with Mackenzie Shirilla. I'm like the prettiest one here. I'm afraid to get in the shower. Really? Was everybody that focused on her?
In the grand retrospect, everybody that we were incarcerated with, when you get into general population or if you've been there,
In the grand retrospect, Shadow's going to write that one down. In the grand retrospect.
knew what she was in there for. It is a high profile case, and prison is a gossip mill. So you did find out quickly, and I do think that she thrived off of the fact that everyone knew that this is Mackenzie Shirilla. Now, were the inmates fazed by her? No. I mean, there's hundreds of people. We've got the microwave mom. We got all the people in there that are there for high profile cases that have been on the news that are there, but they don't necessarily carry themselves in the same way that Mackenzie did. It was almost as if she wanted to be a socialite of prison, which is just wild.
Is this your recollection of her, that it's all about her? Even behind bars, forget the victims. It's about her getting on the Today Show. It is about her Instagram account. It's about her being the, quote, cutest one behind bars. Was that your experience with her, Kat Crowder?
100%. You know, while I was in there and I kind of proclaim myself as a very girly girl, I could never get the energy to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and put on a full face of makeup and do my hair because, one, I'm sitting in prison, and two, who am I trying to look good for? This is not a club or a school dance or something of the sorts. So it gave off, you know, like, I want this attention. I think I'm holier than thou. I'm the Mackenzie.
There's a woman that was convicted for killing both of her children, and she was notorious for dressing up like in glam the day she walked into prison. So she did the very same thing. So I forget what her name was, but she was very notorious for doing that.
Shirilla, and she walked the yard every single day, all day long. She went to the gym. She went line dancing. She went to all the classes. And it was almost as if she was treating it like a popularity contest.
You know, that personality, it's all about me, is not going to help anything at a retrial. There is no way this woman could ever get on the stand, Derek Smith.
Oh, no. She, again, as you know, she has a right not to take the stand, and she didn't the first time. So I don't anticipate, if this does get remanded for another one, for anything to change in that regard. But it is her constitutional right. If she wants to get up there and speak her mind, speak her piece about, you know, what she thinks were the events leading up to this tragic event, she has every right to do that. But I'm pretty sure her excellent legal team will talk some sense into her about that.
I love what you just said, Derek Smith. She can get on the stand and say what she thinks happened in her own mind, which is not what happened at all. Okay, hold on. When we wonder why someone behaves this way, where everything is about them, have you ever heard the phrase, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree?
I hope karma comes back and bites everybody that's against you in the so hard that they all disappear. That's all I said. And if I had a magic wand, I wouldn't go back and help the alien first. I'd make everybody else disappear. I'd click my fingers and everybody would disappear. That's what I would do. That's how angry I am. They screwed you so bad.
Dr. Cheryl Errett joining us. They're feeding the monster. Nobody has ever said what you did was wrong. You're going to jail for this. And when you get out, hopefully you can start over. Well, they're feeding her this line that she's the one that's the victim.
You are so right. And right now, my heart is breaking for Christine listening to this right now. They are feeding the monster. This is an extraordinarily abusive person. This was a violent person. And you know what? A lot of the time, most of the time, this is easier to see when it's the guy who is the abuser. And he is controlling and threatening to break things and threatening to violence and all of this if the girl leaves. You have seen a million cases where it's, if I can't have you, no one can. This family is completely wrapped up in themselves, but it's like nobody else matters. That, yes, that is also narcissism, but this is violence, power and control, intimate partner violence, but the abuser was her. And when she was threatened with being rejected and him leaving, which, as we know, is the most dangerous time in a domestic violence relationship, that's when the partner who's trying to leave is most likely to be killed. I gotta double down, Nancy. This is that kind of situation where she acted out in a way. Maybe she intended also to go with them, but she pulled out all the stops literally, and there's some evidence that the boys may have tried to pull the car out of gear and do something to stop this, but this was an absolutely horrific acting out rage, and now the family is trying to make it seem like she's the victim. Maybe they can parlay this into some kind of fame, and it's appalling.
To Christine Russo, Dominic's sister.
The woman I'm thinking of was in Understanding the Borderline Mother, and Christine Ann Lawson had an example of it where, like, she was just dressed extremely inappropriately after the murder sentence. I don't think it was Vallow. It might have been, but I don't think it was.
Star of the Big Sister Unhinged podcast, creating and curating her brother's legacy. I'd like to hear your response to everything we've discussed tonight.
Honestly, I'm happy that you guys in the world are seeing through her. And that I don't have to sit here and my family doesn't have to sit here and suffer ourselves like we have been for 4 years, because the movie just came out. We've been dealing with this for quite some time now, since the second she was arrested. It was immediate just denial, no remorse, no accountability, victim shaming, blaming, my parents. The Shirillas have not stopped. They've been doing interviews this week where they're still blaming my brother for his death or blaming my parents. So I'm actually I'm glad to see that the world sees through her and who she truly is. I really hope with what, this coming out, I've tried to make anything positive out of this tragedy by doing the Dom and Davion's Law or the foundation.
That sounds more like it, Snoop, actually. Diane Downs. I think she was actually in Christine Ann Lawson's book. And what did she do? Did she kill her children? I think that's what she did.
That I started for him, just trying to make anything positive to turn this into. But I'm glad that the world sees her now for who she is. So,
Christine,
yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Dom and Davion's Law, because many states have Son of Sam law. Not all of them, which precludes you from profiting.
Yes, it is Diane Downs who did this that I'm referring to. So she's an American woman who murdered her daughter and attempted to murder her other 2 children on May 19th, 1983. In Oregon, she claimed to police that a man had shot her and the children during an attempted carjacking. She was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. She escaped in 1987 and was recaptured after 10 days. Downs has been repeatedly denied parole and has been diagnosed with narcissistic, histrionic, and antisocial personality disorders and labeled a deviant sociopath. Notice no borderline in there. Shootings and prosecution. On May 19th, 1983, Downs shot her 3 children and drove them in a blood-spattered car to Mackenzie Willamette Hospital in Springfield, Oregon. Upon arrival, Danny, age 3, was paralyzed from the waist down. Christy, 8, had suffered a disabling stroke, and Cheryl Lynn Downs, 7, was dead. Downs herself had been shot in the left forearm. Downs claimed that a strange man carjacked her on a rural road near Springfield and then shot her and the children. However, investigators and hospital workers became suspicious because they believed her demeanor was too calm for someone who had just experienced such a traumatic event. She also made a number of statements that both police and hospital workers considered highly inappropriate. Downs claimed that shortly before 10:30 p.m. on a drive home from a friend's house, she got out of her car on Old Mohawk Road after being flagged down by a stranger. Downs claimed that this man ordered her to give him her car and that after she pretended to throw her car keys into a nearby bush, the man walked up to her car and shot her children with a small caliber pistol. Downs claimed the man walked back toward her and shot her in the arm before he ran northbound around a curve in the road. Downs drove her children to Mackenzie Willamette Hospital in Springfield. So, Trying to see what actually they say she did. No. But all you need to know is she shot them. But only one of them died.
Off of your crime. Not all states have that. I don't even know if it's half the country, but social media has far outpaced what Son of Sam laws protect, what they do. And the law must be updated to address social media fame or that type of enrichment. What is Dom and Davian's law?
It's just a modernization of the Son of Sam. So like you said, it was written, I think they came up with that in the 70s, where it just covered journals, movies, and like news deals. Now with the digital era, you have social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. There's GoFundMe set out. She's been getting thousands of dollars in donations. By the way, they've set up different accounts. This will help protect different loopholes so that victims don't have to watch somebody who killed their loved ones get attention, fame, fortune. Basically, I'm trying to prevent her from becoming Gypsy Rose, the next Gypsy Rose. And it is it's just a modernization of that, and to stop her or her family from finding loopholes and having her benefit off of my brother's and Davian's death.
Summertime expenses stacking up fast.
All right. Well, maybe one more video to go over. Pop psychology.
Mackenzie in her that welcome back to the channel. As always, I've missed you. I'm traveling with my family right now, and I just watched the Crash documentary on Netflix. And I have so many thoughts.
Make sure you like the video, folks. This is the last video of the night because likes are free. Spank that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend or 5 or 10 about the flock of black sheep here. Check out that girl Melly, that one girl Melly, I should say, on YouTube. She's in the chat here now too. She'll be collaborating with me in the near future. And thank you very much for all of the support Shadow and I have been getting so far.
But I want to be really clear about what I am doing here and what I'm not doing here. I am not going to weigh in on whether or not she did it or if it was intentional. I'm not a legal expert, not a lawyer. I would say that the courts have kind of already decided that. What I want to talk about is from a psychological standpoint, like what did we see in my mind, it's really, there's 2 camps. One is what do we see in her parents, both from their behaviors and from their kind of style and attitude. And what did we see from Mackenzie in her style and attitude? If you're new here, my name is David Colarosi. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I use events in pop culture like this documentary to talk about psychological concepts. Now, before we get into it, I want to thank the sponsor for tonight's video, BetterHelp. In this video, I'm talking about
BetterHelp. Tim Dillon used to do some great bits about BetterHelp like 5 or 6 years ago. He'd say, BetterHelp, better than no help. He goes, our counselors may or may not be licensed, but it's better than no help. BetterHelp. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm surprised that they kept him as a sponsor for so long.
Mackenzie Shirilla and this dysfunctional relationship she had with her boyfriend, Dominic. And it just makes me think that we've all experienced relationships that feel dysfunctional, where our boundaries are being violated, and we have to find a way to take a step back and evaluate, is this...
By the way, I invited this guy on the channel here too. Someone got on me today in one of the comments. They said, Jared, you keep on talking about all these interviews, but where are they? And I said, well, they don't happen just like poof, here they are. The second I want someone, they're right here. It's like, that's not always how it works. I mean, the more popular you try to go, the more busy they are, and you can't do it right away. But, I do have over 96 interviews already that are in there. I created a new playlist today that have all of my interviews in it. I've interviewed people like Dr. Salerno in there too. Matt Murphy hopefully is coming on. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm just trying to set it up the exact date with his assistant. So hopefully that goes well.
what we want? How do I want to navigate this person? We really need to figure out what our boundaries are. And I think a really good place to do that is in therapy, which is why I'm so happy that this video is being sponsored by BetterHelp. I have worked with BetterHelp for years now, and I'm proud to do so because I think that BetterHelp has.
No.
Okay, back to the video. As I jump into this, I think it's important to acknowledge that I have not done any investigative work here. I am just watching a documentary and reacting to it. And at the very end of the documentary, it stands out in my mind, Mackenzie's being asked, is there anything else that you would like to share? And she goes, I don't think so. And then she looks off screen to her lawyer and says, was that good? It's really clear that Mackenzie is trying to manage her impression the way that we see her. And it's also really clear that the director, the people filming this, have a story they're trying to tell. And I guess I want to acknowledge that as I talk about this case, I am certainly being influenced by the director's eye as he or she built this story. So that being said, let's start with the parents. Throughout the documentary, I had such a strong reaction to them. And not always, it wasn't always negative, but they just made me feel uneasy.
So Mackenzie's father is like a 40-something-year-old boy that's enabler. He's an enabler that is narcissistic. So he also has some flying monkey tendencies. The mother, I think she's just more straight up borderline. And I think the daughter is a combo, narcissistic, borderline, antisocial. That's what I think. And I think the daughter's in charge of the mother for the very most part. And there's a lot of enmeshment going on there. There's a form of parentification going on there. And hopefully I can talk about it with this guy if he comes on the show.
The first example I have is when Mackenzie's in the hospital and she's being questioned by the police, and she turns to her mom and she says in Pig Latin, can we tell them that I've just had a seizure or something? And her mom engages in that conversation. It's weird, right? You have these, it's such an insensitive, such a dismissive reaction to something so severe. These kids have died, and Mackenzie is trying to find some kind of loophole that she can use to get out of it. And her mom is colluding with her in the conversation. And so what stands out to me is clearly these two women have spent time talking to each other in that way. To me, it has been these two women against the world. And I don't know if it's against the world or if it's against her husband, Mackenzie's dad. I don't know what it is, but there's a dynamic there where these two women are willing to manipulate and trick the environment around them. So it feels very unhealthy. And it does make me wonder, what are the reasons why Mackenzie has had to adapt that behavior before? Why are we learning how to trick authority to that degree? From a psychological standpoint, to that degree, right? You could look at it and you could go, wow, no empathy, no boundaries, terrible parenting, maybe true. And then you also wonder, at some point that behavior must have been adaptive. And it makes me wonder why. I should
say, I don't buy that. That's to me the traditional approach, that it's all just an adaptation. No, I think people have inherent traits, and those inherent traits present themselves in certain ways. And it's just a matter of whether the parents correct them or not, or try to give them consequences. But I think some of it is just there. It's not all an adaptation. So I don't necessarily agree with that. There can be some adaptations, but I don't think the worst of it is an adaptation. I think the worst of it could be there.
Say if I was playing devil's advocate with myself, I would say, well, David, she is under an incredible amount of stress, and maybe this is a regression to a better time. Maybe when she was younger, she played with her mom and spoke Pig Latin, and that's comforting to her. And so in this moment, she just defaulted to that. I doubt it, but that would be the counter argument to what I'm saying. The next thing that I noticed in Mackenzie's parents' behaviors is like this constant positioning of themselves as good parents because they are at all costs defending Mackenzie. I understand that as a parent, it is your job to believe in and love your kids. True. And I don't think you do that to a degree where you are ignoring reality and ignoring the impact of your kids' behaviors.
I agree with that. That is very true. And granted, as I've said before, it's not easy to deal with someone like Mackenzie either. I mean, a lot of parents would say, or a lot of people would look from the outside in and say, oh, of course I would do this differently. Of course I would do this. And I would say, well, I bet you if you were in their shoes, it'd be tougher than you think as well. Now, here's an example. And a lot of people can relate to this example. So imagine there's kids that you know, like the friends, your friends' kids, right? They come over and you see, oh my God, this kid's a freaking nightmare. Like, what would you do? And sometimes they can be cousins. Maybe the cousin's a nightmare. And you think, oh my God, what the hell would I do if this was my kid? And again, it doesn't mean you give up. You still got to try to enforce consequences and hold your ground. But what I'm saying is it's not easy. They make it very difficult.
Throughout the entire documentary, I never clocked them saying her behavior was egregious. I never clocked them acknowledging the pain that she had caused. When Mackenzie's mom is talking to the judge, I think at Mackenzie's sentencing, she's just...
And that's a big part of the problem too, right? If they don't even recognize the problem, how are they going to enforce consequences on something that they don't even see as a problem, right? It's just not going to happen. So that's a big problem right there.
Talking about how wonderful of a child Mackenzie is and don't take her life from her. And it was enough that the judge even said, hey, why are you not acknowledging what she's done in the...
What I would be doing is I would be telling her no. I'd freeze her out is what I would do. I'd be like, no, you're not going to do that on my watch. And you can scream, you can cry, you can rant, but it's not going to work. And like, yeah. And again, as long as you stand your ground and they truly respect you, it'll go as good as it can go. Now, here's the other thing, though. Sometimes when a person puts their foot down, maybe they run away from home. I mean, didn't we just watch what happened to the D4VD's girl? That's maybe what happened with her. We don't know. She ran away from home. So that's a possibility, though, right? It's a possibility you put your foot down, they run away from home. And in the worst case, something like what happens to that girl happens. But, you know, what you got to do is have the combination of consequences plus letting them know you're on their team. Like, you know, I love you. I'm on your team here. This is for your own good. Like, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get that buy-in because they're only going to see the fact that you told them no and they're not getting what they want. But it's a tough battle. But if you can break through it, maybe you can be all right. But it's going to be tough.
Impact she's had on all these other people here. And it just feels like there's like this diluted view of their daughter. Or it's either diluted or it's an absolute decision to ignore everybody else. And again, I don't know what the cause of that outlook is, but it does feel like it's them and their family against the world. And that's how you're supposed to live. It feels very dysfunctional to me, which is maybe another segue to Mackenzie's dad talking about the fact that Mackenzie was high when she had smoked pot when she drove the car into the wall. And he is saying, look, I don't have a problem if Mackenzie smokes weed. I don't have a problem if I smoke weed. And he turns to the camera. I don't have a problem if you smoke weed. Like he was just dismissing the idea that she was on drugs. And I guess I should say, I also don't care what his take is on weed, but I am shocked by that stance, given the fact that she then drove her car into a brick wall and killed two people. Like that. It just feels like they are, as a family or as a parental unit, totally out of touch with the impact they're having. It's so much protection and so much of a denial of the world around them. So that's kind of the behavioral piece of the parents, but there's also a stylistic component that I want to talk about. When the parents are being interviewed, I mean, you meet a lot of parents in the documentary. No one seems as relaxed as Mackenzie's parents, from their look, the way that they're dressed, the dad's shirt. It just feels so over the top, relaxed. And again, I just feel like there's this.
It's a tone deaf thing, right?
It's like tone deaf inability to understand the severity of what is happening. I think the favorable look at this, in my mind, the favorable look would be, historically, it has been this family against the world. And they are out of touch with reality. They have the laissez-faire style of parenting, and they've never really, so as a consequence, they kind of spoiled her. They never held her accountable, and they allowed Mackenzie to become a very selfish young woman. I think that's the favorable interpretation. The less favorable interpretation is that these parents are so sort of narcissistically oriented to themselves and to their family that they have taught Mackenzie to never be responsible for her behaviors. They've taught her to manipulate and to maneuver the world around her. Hate authority. We hate rules. We don't.
This guy's name is David Colrizas, I think his last name is. I'll look it up for you real quick. Of course, he doesn't say. It's David, but this is Pops Like is the name of the channel. Let's see what it says on Instagram. Yes, David Colarossi, Colarossi, PhD.
Respect or appreciate anybody else. Like that stylistically as parents could have happened. And then I guess the worst way to look at it is, and I can't diagnose from afar, but if you look at Mackenzie's behavior, which I'll talk about in a second here, it reeks of cluster B personality disordered behavior. And those cluster B traits oftentimes come from trauma. So when I see
50% agree. He's right, they're cluster B traits, but I would disagree. And maybe I should challenge him. If I speak to him, I would say, you know what? I don't think they're only from that. I think trauma makes it worse, but I think there's some inherent genetic traits going on. They have some startup material that's a little off, out of kilter.
Mackenzie acting that way, the first thing I do is I wonder, well, how did she grow up? What was the environment that she grew up in where she had that kind of trauma to lead to this kind of a personality? And so the parents would be the first place I look. I don't know more than that, but it would not surprise me if there's more going on in that laissez-faire family, things that she has seen, ways in which Mackenzie was victimized earlier on that led her to be.
Oh my goodness. Dr. Salerno would have a heart attack if he was listening to this, and so would Dr. Simon for that matter. They'd be like, oh no. Because Dr. Salerno would say, it's just a mistake. It's a mistake to think that trauma is what causes people to become abusive. Why? Because there's a lot of people that have been traumatized, develop CPTSD, but then they don't go on to become monstrous abusers. Why? Why don't they become monstrous abusers? Well, they have different starting points. It's a controversial take to say that people have different starting points, but to me, it's very clear that they do. It is very clear they do. People do have different starting points.
The way she is today. Okay, let's talk about Mackenzie's behavior. The first one that I just want to talk about and sort of acknowledge is Mackenzie's social media. During the court case, the prosecutors pull up her old TikTok videos or whatever, and she is, there are videos that make her look like she is, dismissive and of people around her and controlling and hypersexualized and those kinds of things. I don't know if those characteristics are true of her. What I can tell you is I thought it was a little bit ridiculous for the prosecutors to use that as evidence. These are videos that are, years old. It's Mackenzie just hopping on a trend. I thought it was much to do about nothing. But the pictures of Mackenzie on Halloween dressed like a dead person, character or otherwise, a couple weeks after she has just killed 2 people is wild to me. And it's wild to me that her parents were unable to clock how inappropriate that was. And I guess it tells you again how out of touch Mackenzie and her parents are. I mean, they are clearly trying to manipulate and maneuver the world around them. And the fact that neither Mackenzie or her parents thought, hey, geez, this outfit is not a good, it's not a good look right now, tells you how seriously they were taking things. Now, what I thought was even more impactful from a let's understand Mackenzie's psychology standpoint was the depiction of the fights that she had with Dominic. When we look at her text messages, there was this style of, I love you, I want to be with you, it's the 2 of us together, we're going to get married, this very enmeshed and I would argue kind of hypersexualized relationship. And then days or even hours later, she would switch to a very aggressive, very unhinged, conflict style. I hate you, lose my number, I'm going to cut you off.
Black and white thinking, splitting.
This all on, all off just shows you, it feels to me like she was very much emotionally dysregulated and unhinged. Now, again, I can't diagnose from afar, but I can tell you that any psychologist reading that would have alarm bells going off for some kind of personality issue. And with that in mind, if I think about that fateful night, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if earlier in the day, their relationship seemed fine enough for Dominic and Davion to get in the car with Mackenzie. And then things escalate to a fight. Mackenzie loses control, loses composure, and wants to punish her boyfriend, right? The classic cluster B borderline personality disorder style is I'm going to hurt myself and I want you to see it. That kind of manipulation using life and death. If I had to guess, like that progression would make sense to me. Now, from a stylistic standpoint, watching Mackenzie interviewed, honestly, it gave me the creeps. And whenever I feel that, I would say this, whenever you feel that way, when you're watching something, you should stop and try and figure out, well, like what's happening that's making me feel uneasy? And with Mackenzie, I think it's a couple of things. The first is
that's good advice, to pay attention to your gut, because your gut's very rarely wrong. Or hopefully you're in a place where you can trust your gut. I know if you've been in a trauma bond and maybe you've had narcissistic parents, maybe you've never trusted your gut. So you have to get to a point where you can trust your gut. But when you do trust your gut, like I look at Mackenzie and what I see is that lack of empathy face. I see something that's just, I feel something that's inauthentic, isn't genuine, fake, someone that is performative. And there's a part of her that comes out in those phone calls that's completely different than the side that she shows on Netflix or in front of the judge, right? Those are the things to pay attention to. And don't ignore that. Don't ignore that when you have those feelings. That's another part. People can understand it. They can see it. They feel it. But if they don't act on it, it doesn't do them any good. You still have to act on it. One thing that stops people from acting on it is deering. Defend, excuse, explain, or rationalize. Some people will do that. They'll make an excuse and they'll say, well, they had a hard day, or they were mistreated as a child, or I would want someone to give me a second chance. That's a tricky one too. But you have to watch that. You don't want to deer when someone has that icky and problematic behavior. No, don't deer.
Is not, I mean, very rarely does she on her own acknowledge the pain that she has caused for other people, right? She's not talking about how Dominic's family feels or the impact on Davian's sister, right? It's there's no connection there. It's all kind of self-referential. This is sad for me. Look at the things that I have lost. I was going to have this kind of life with Dominic. Oh, poor me. Right. And you know, she's trying to present in a favorable way. And it's almost like even when she's trying to feign empathy, she can only feign empathy for the thing that she cares about, which is her. I don't think she really gets the pain that's being experienced by other people. And again, that.
So I wouldn't even call that empathy. I would call that self-pity is more like what that is.
Style reeks of personality issues. I also thought that her kind of affect, she showed very little emotional range. Even when she's crying, it doesn't look like she's trying to hold back crying, right? It looks like there's nothing there. Very blunted, very flat, as if she's trying on emotion versus actually feeling the emotion. And it's interesting when she's talking about what she did.
And that's what I would call LARPing emotions. LARPing stands for live action role play. So you'll see that with some narcissistic people out there. And even Jacob, the nameless narcissist, talks about this. Like, one of the things he saw was that when he was at a funeral, he didn't like feel how others were feeling. So he was trying to like figure out like what's going on here. And he was trying to figure out like, how do I display these emotions? But because he just didn't feel them. So that's why it's so awkward and stunted when you see a lot of cluster Bs try to show those emotions.
She's not saying I did this, and because I did this, these people died. She's kind of saying this happened to us. The locus of control is not with Mackenzie. It's somewhere else. It's something else. The world is happening to us, but I'm not the driver of it. Again, there's zero accountability. Now, I have to say, if I was playing devil's advocate to my own interpretation of this, I would say, well, maybe she has dissociated. Maybe she's in shock. Maybe it's also been several years. I have a hard time believing that for several years she is processing that way, where she is still dissociated and still in shock. It feels very unlikely to me. So those are my thoughts. That's my reaction to it. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
All right. So that's Pop Psych. And that's about it for today, folks. We went longer than I thought we would because we just had too much fun in here. No, certainly not shock, Miss Amanda. I agree. Not shock. So I agree with some of the things he said. Not all. Wouldn't be any fun if I just agreed with everything. But like I said, I might talk to him about that if he agrees to come on. See what he thinks. See what he thinks about that. But anyway, while you're still here, please make sure you like the video because likes are free. Spank the like button. Leave your DNA of choice in the like button. Throw Shadow here a like vest the same way that Brian Hooker should have to Lynette Hooker, but did not. And thank you to the flock of black sheep in the live chat here. We can look forward to my collaboration at a point with that one girl, Melly. We'll talk about this case and some other things, perhaps. Thank you, Miss Amanda. Thanks to the mods, Song Bits, and Miss Kim. Got to get on my girl Living for not being here in a minute. Thank you, Jackie. You have a great night too. So Song Bits, Chatty Cathy, Snoop, Annie, Melly, Ellie. Ellie was here today. She's not here as much. Deb, Autumn, Dee, Ward, Jane, and everyone else. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Chatty Cathy, Autumn. Thank you, everyone. We might take the night off tomorrow. We'll see. Because I'm tired. I got to recharge my social battery. Have a great night, Linda. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Till next time.